Will anything be disrupted? Our internet, our electricity?
That's a good.
So for
Did you
internet,
hear her question?
yeah, I did.
Yes.
For internet, there shouldn't be any disruptions. We're not really involved with that. But for your power, I would have to again refer to my alignment supervisor. But if they do have to do an outage, they would contact you, either knock on your door or send out a letter in the mail. They won't just do it out of nowhere.
And if they did have to do an outage, how long would it be potentially?
See that I don't know. It would be up to how extensive the work is, and that's another alignment
Sorry, we
supervisor
couldn't hear you.
question.
A car went by.
Oh, I can repeat myself. It was that's another question I'm not too sure about. It depends on how extensive the work is going to be, but that's a question more so for the lineman supervisor. But I can definitely get back to you about that.
Yeah, because that could be awful in the middle of a heat wave.
Yeah, I truly understand, but I can definitely get that information. It wouldn't be like a whole day's worth. I can tell you that they wouldn't have you out for like a day. It wouldn't be like that.
You're saying it would be less than a day. And how much advance notice would we get?
That's a good question too. I can get back to you about that also. That's a scheduler question. I'm sorry.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think it's clear what our questions, they all hang together. Other
Yeah.
than purpose, which I think you've explained.
Yeah, and if you ever want me to leave my contact information, I can get back to you. We're all in like the
Yes.
same. We're all in the same office.
Charles,
That
are
would
you
be
comfortable
helpful.
doing that now, or you want to figure it out?
I prefer to do that after
Okay,
the
that's
meeting.
fine.
And if anybody else, I'm okay doing it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can get that from the city council, from Laura?
Yeah, I can give it to her.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and if you wouldn't mind leaving yours too, so I can get in contact with you.
You can send that to city council, and then we'll connect you too. How about that?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Let me just make sure there's no other members of the public who would like to speak on, hold on the poll petitions for Burt's Pit Road. That's what we're speaking on right now. Anyone in the room? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, I don't see anybody. So I guess, yeah, and if you have no further information, thank you very much. It's nice to meet you, Charles.
Yeah, nice to meet you
And we'll
guys.
connect you with the resident, and we're going to be closing this hearing and voting later on the, yeah, oh, of course, and yes, of course, counselors, if you have questions, sorry.
I know it's not on the plan, but I'm just triple checking. Are there lights attached to any of these new poles?
Ooh, let me check that for you. Actually,
Yeah.
let me just grab my phone.
Let me make sure I can see Counselor Davis too. In case. Yes, counselors, feel free to ask any questions as well.
It looks like there are a few city lights on there. My phone's a little slow, but I do see some down the road, so I would assume up there would be some too.
Of course, yeah, go ahead, sorry. Looking for.
I guess then in that case, my question would be, would the lights that are installed be in alignment with the city ordinances?
They should be. When it comes to lights, that's also out of my department. We have our own light group, I should say. But for the process, we depending on the ownership, they would still remain on the old pole and be transferred onto the new one. We wouldn't just leave them on the ground for someone to take or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm sure our linemen are aware of like those type of practices.
Counselors or public, any other further questions before we let Charles go? Mr. Williams? Okay, thank you very much. And we'll, as I say, we'll be voting later on the items themselves, but we have the hearings first.
All right, thank you
Thank
guys.
you for being here.
Process question?
Yeah.
Yeah, just when somebody recuses themselves, usually, I think they're required to state why. It seems like that's what's always happened in the past.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to.
I don't know the answer.
I don't believe that's actually required, but one of these is, I think, a little bit less than 500 feet from my home, so that's why I chose to.
Okay, thank you. Okay. If there's no further questions or comments about the petitions, we'll close the public hearing.
Motion.
Yeah, and look,
Motion to close the public hearing.
okay,
Second.
okay.
I'll second.
Well, I'll give it to Counselor Davis because of the lag. So Counselor Clemmer and a second by Counselor Davis. Roll call on closing the public hearing. Okay.
Counselor Dobbs.
Yes.
Counselor Clemmer.
Yes.
Counselor Loisel.
Yes.
Counselor Maori.
Yes.
Counselor Nabad.
Yes.
Counselor Perry.
Yes.
Counselor Robbins.
Yes.
Counselor Stratton.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
right.
recused still.
He's not back
And
yet.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
Okay, so the public hearing is closed, and we can welcome back Counselor Stratton. So now we are on to public comment. So if you wish to make a public comment, you can sign up at the sheet at the podium. If you're on Zoom, you can use the raise hand feature, or use if you're by phone, you can raise your hand by hitting *9. I'll alternate between people in the room and people on Zoom. And before you begin, thank you. Please state your name and city and town, and we welcome you to share your pronouns. And yeah, we limit comment to 2 minutes each. After 2 minutes, I will, or Vice President Clemmer will ask you to wrap up your sentence. And if someone has already said something, you are free to just second their thought. According to council rules, we do not respond during public comment. Your protected speech is a constitutional right and one that we ask you to wield with consideration and respect for all, and with the recognition that this is a public space that grants you that freedom and is shared equally by everyone. You may speak on any topic. It does not have to be an item on the agenda. All comments should be directed to the council. Okay, so, okay, so first in the room, I see Nick Matern, and then we'll get the second sheet. Thank you. Good evening, Nick.
Yes, good evening, and it is a beautiful evening for sure. I want to just speak about L3 Harris Corporation, and I want to remind the council and the mayor that I did several months ago provide documentation on how L3 Harris is profiting from genocide in Gaza, as well as the wars that are going on right now. In 2024, L3 Harris entered into a partnership with the major AI surveillance company Palantir, a company with deep ties to the Israeli weapons industry. A major part of Palantir's business is creating technology intended to select targets using AI. This is said to enable quicker attacks by reducing human involvement in target identification and analysis. L3 Harris is now reportedly using Palantir technology in connection with the photonic masts that it makes here in Northampton for U.S. submarines, in spite of the well-known increase in probability for error in the use of AI targeting, resulting in, among other things, the killing of civilians. Not a good thing, especially if submarines are carrying nuclear weapons. So here in Northampton, we have two corporations widely known for profiteering from genocide and other war crimes, including the U.S. attacks on Iran, operating without any objection from the mayor or the city council, and apparently with your support. Please note that both these corporations provide surveillance equipment to the Israeli government and to ICE, equipment that can be used to violate the rights of immigrants and citizens who are seeking to save immigrants from the vicious racist abuse of the federal government. There is a place for morality.
If you could just please finish your sentence.
Yeah, there is a place for morality in government. Without it, we lose our compass. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, so I'm going to go to Zoom. I see Russell Carrier. Let me just see if I can get you. You should be able to start your video and unmute yourself, Russell. Hi.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Russ Carrier. I live at 406 Park Hill Road, which is in Ward 6. I was a Forbes Library trustee for 44 years. I'm here to speak to you in support of the CPA funding for the Coolidge Museum. The museum renovation project has two main goals. First, to update the exhibit to present a balanced portrayal of Northampton's most famous couple. Secondly, to update and make the museum space a more pleasant experience for all who visit it. There are important community benefits connected to this project. First, to increase tourism and educate the public about Northampton's most famous couple. Secondly, the museum doubles, and a lot of people don't know this, as a room for Coolidge events as well as a free local meeting and event space. The legal capacity for this room is 75. During the first 4 months of this current year, over 1,300 people have used that museum. I would assume the vast majority of them are from Northampton. The programming centers on concerts, literary and historical theme events, panel discussions, lectures, current events, and as a meeting space for organizations such as the Chamber of Commerce. A little history of the museum that you might not know. The museum was founded locally by the library staff, the trustees, and the Coolidge family. There are no outside connections with any political entities. Further, the museum receives no annual funding from the state of Massachusetts or the federal government. In conclusion, I want to thank you for your consideration of this request.
Thank you. Okay, back in the room, I see Laura Belushi.
Thanks. I didn't know it was me.
Good evening, Laura Belushi, Northampton, Ward 4. I am here once again to request that you seek ways to close down L3 Harris in Northampton. And this evening I will speak about, I mentioned last time, the highest number per capita of child amputees in the world is in Gaza. According to Save the Children and UNRWA UN, 4,000 Palestinian children in the Gaza Strip have had one or more limbs amputated since the war broke out. 10 children a day were losing one or both legs. I'll scroll down. Because of the bombardments and Israel not allowing medical necessities into the Gaza Strip, these amputations are happening sometimes without anesthesia. Now, if any of us have had dental work, we always have anesthesia, right? We can't go there, can't imagine. So 2 days ago, a woman was breastfeeding her baby in the Gaza Strip. She was killed. The baby survived. The baby lost a leg, left leg. His leg was buried with his mother. Where is our outrage? Where is it? I cannot,
Laura, that's
I
fine. If you
will
could just finish
ask
your
you,
sentence.
I am done. I will ask you to think about meeting with representatives of different groups to seek a way to get L3 Harris out of Northampton, at least set a precedent. Thank you.
Okay. Going to Zoom, I see Brian Adams.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Brian Adams. I live on 254 Old Wilson Road in Northampton, Ward 4. I am the chair of the Community Preservation Committee, which is really quite a wonderful committee to be on. People are so smart and kind and transparent and full of love for the city. And we have 5 proposals to you for your funding recommendations tonight. One is $253,000 for Historic Northampton for the Parsons House Restoration Project. I think as people know, Historic Northampton is just doing an amazing job with opening up the history of Northampton, the history of the area, in terms of really accessible, really exciting exhibits. $202,000 to fund an accessible trail connecting Northern Avenue to the rail trail, which will be really interesting. $330,000 for the Nashawanic Brook Restoration Project. We are the first rewilding of a golf course in the state, which is really exciting. And we're crossing our fingers that $3 million, that's million, will be coming in from the state for funding for really a major riparian restoration and really making it a model for the state. $7,000 for the Lilly Library Stair Repair Project. And last but not least, $145,000 for the Forbes Library Coolidge Museum lighting. The lighting is historic preservation. It's really not to make it a more well-lit place for some of the many community events there. But lighting is like an essential ingredient to preserve historic objects. They have to be well lit. If they're poorly lit, you have degradation, you have all sorts of problems. So all in all, I'm really encouraging you to vote yes for all 5 of these projects that we have unanimously brought forward to you. Thank you so much for your work. I appreciate all of your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, back in the room, I see Claudia Lefko.
Yes, Claudia Lefko, Ward 3. I'm totally in support of the comments from Nick and Laura. It's a horrible situation. I hope the city will pay attention. But for me, I've walked out of my Montview neighborhood, the crumbling infrastructure, to comment on the ordinance on tonight's agenda concerning snow and ice removal and vegetation on sidewalks. If this issue has indeed been before the community lately, as is stated, I'm not aware of it, and the resolution, in my opinion, doesn't begin to reflect the concerns that have been raised in the past about problems with this kind of blanket ordinance. What happens if property owners cannot, for whatever reason, clear their sidewalk? What if they can't afford a snow removal service? Who's responsible when the snow and slush are pushed back onto your sidewalk by the city plow? Then there's the issue of overgrown vegetation. I find very little incentive to maintain a crumbling, overgrown sidewalk when the city has for decades neglected the responsibility for providing us one that is safe and ADA compliant. In addition to vegetation, we have talk of utility poles. We have many, many utility poles in Montview that make it impossible for wheelchairs and strollers to get by. This is not our responsibility. This is something the city needs to deal with. So the city and city residents share the same goal. We want to be able to walk and to wheel in safety in all seasons. One solution for the winter would be for the city to commit to plowing downtown sidewalks and those on feeder streets to downtown. As for vegetation, the city must depend on responsible residents doing the quote-unquote right thing. The current and proposed solution is to use a stick to enforce this, but I'm here to suggest that a carrot would be better. Sidewalks are a big issue. There are many, many reasons why people cannot or should not be expected to clear and maintain their sidewalks, including resentment over the lack of the attention that the city gives the sidewalks. It seems important, and I'm here to encourage Councillor Loisel, who chairs the Ordinance Committee, to hold a number of listening sessions throughout the city to engage, this is my last sentence, to engage the community again in this conversation and to try to work out a solution that people not only can buy into, but that they want to buy into so that there's some collaboration here. I don't see this ordinance as any improvement over what we've had. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Back on Zoom, I see the reference department. Hold on just a sec. Okay. Oop. Sometimes people hit it. Just, you should be able to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes. and
Hi.
it is actually the reference department. Okay, that's great.
Sorry for
Library,
that,
yeah.
that mislabel there. Yeah,
okay.
I'm Lisa Downing. I'm the director of the Forbes Library. And I wanted to make a comment tonight about the Calvin Coolidge Presidential Library and Museum, which we've housed since 1956. We are very proud to house the largest collection of Coolidge research materials, beginning with his career in Northampton government, all the way to the White House and back home again, as well as those related to his wife, Grace Coolidge, who was very active in civic life in Northampton up through the mid-20th century. We are also proud to be the only public library in the country to house a presidential library. As an aside, the Obama presidential site in Chicago is the first presidential library to house a public library within it. So that's kind of a fun pairing. The CPA funding you will be considering tonight is for a museum-grade lighting system that will protect the objects on display, as CPA committee President Adams said. It is really for the preservation of the objects, but it will also improve the experience and accessibility to all those using the museum, including those who attend library programs. One point that may not have come up in yet in our application, and that I just really think is important to emphasize, is that our desire to improve the museum, to be more accessible, interesting, and relevant to a wider audience is not being done to glorify or simplify Coolidge's political record. We seek to provide information and present the history within the context of his time and its relevance to today. We will not shy away from presenting information about controversial decisions he made on important topics like immigration, race relations, and taxation. Our approach to the museum is aligned with the library's overall mission as a place of learning. This is why it is so important to us that the lighting and the overall room design support one of the museum's primary roles as a community gathering space where lectures and discussions can take place. And I just wanted to echo Russ Carrier's point about tourism. We do receive visitors at this point from locally, regionally, but really across the country. We keep statistics on it. And we also
there was
get
time, if you could just finish your sentence, please.
Oh, sure. We just hope
Yeah.
to bring more people into Northampton for tourism. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay. All right, back in the room. I see Dan. Let's see, Dan Kuhnhertz. That's kind of, I can't read it, but I'm sure you. Oh, and Amelia, oh, I see, you're together, that's what it had, okay. Yeah. There was one long name, and I didn't think your name was both Dan and Amelia.
Hi, my name is Dan. I use him pronouns, and I'm from Northampton.
My name is Amelia Durbin, also from Northampton, she, her. We're just here to mention our Juneteenth celebration. It's happening this Saturday. Want to talk about where it is?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be located at A.J. Gare Plaza in Northampton. There will be music, food trucks, vendors, Black-owned businesses, and we're really looking forward to the event, and we hope to see you all there.
Yeah. At the beginning of this year, our friend Kendall Mangum came and joined the Youth Commission, which I am chair of, and Dan is our city council liaison. And she felt like she really wanted to create a space to celebrate her culture and uplift the Northampton area Black community. So we've been really fortunate to work with the city of Northampton, Councilor Perry, and the Arts Council to put this together. So hope you'll come out and join us in celebrating our Black community.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
We just have the time, but
Thank you.
we just have some time.
We're going to announce it later in the announcements, though, so maybe, thank you, though. Okay, so thank you. And then back on Zoom, I see, let's see. Simison. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you.
My name's Cynthia Simison. I live at 190 Round Hill Road, taxpayer, Ward 2 resident. And I'm speaking tonight on behalf of two of the projects presented by the CPA funding, the Historic Northampton one and the Coolidge Presidential Library one. I am a member of the standing committee that oversees the Presidential Library. And this request follows several years of hard work by our volunteer committee to change and renovate the museum and make it more accessible and interesting to new generations of visitors. As a kid growing up in Northampton, I know that not much has been done to that museum. It opened the year I was born, and it's very much the same. So I think the time is here that we need to do this. The lighting will help us share many fragile fabric and photographic and other artifacts that we have in our archive. And as a child, I went to the Parsons House as a young person to learn about how people lived in the 1600s and 1700s. And I learned a lot, and it's stayed with me all these years. And I just think such entities are valuable to our young people to learn about the past and what happened and why and wherefore. So I'd appreciate your support for these projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. In the room, let's see, in the room, Nathan Chung. And then I think there's another name there too. But I'll give it a sec. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Nathan Chung. I live in Northampton. I'm a public employee speaking as a German Republic. I know some people are really tired of seeing me because it's usually the same cast of characters. I came here because it's anecdotal, but some neighbors have been telling me that they're too intimidated or too stressed out to come to these meetings or engage with the city government. And this is for everybody as well. I'm not trying to point anybody specific. So the past 2 years, 24 and 25, was actually for me really scary, like seeing what happened, especially with the conduct of a particular city councilor. I have a personal blog, cityuntangled.com/politics. If you go there, you can see the public complaint I filed about our conduct. It's dated April 22, 25. So it was like showed how bad like local politics can get if somebody's constantly interrupting and yelling and intimidating people, both in public and on social media. And my kind of fear right now is that even though Northampton City Council has gotten out of sort of the darkest times, there's still a lot of tension and distrust. There's a lot of interpersonal conflict, I think, that's going on. So the ideal theory about politics is that you're doing it all for the public good, the community good. So that's the ideal form of public politics. But the reality is we got all these different drives, like anger, fear, need for self-validation, desire for some power over people and processes. So all these things are playing out in different ways. So I hope you all can find out some way to improve relationships and build some trust. And if not, that's hard, at least have some way to listen to each other, look at pros and cons of each other's ideas, and also try not to interrupt each other. So it's sometimes very difficult to watch these meetings, and I've been involved in different types of politics, and if it's hard for me, I can imagine it's even harder for other people in the community. So thank you for your service, and I just hope you guys figure out a way to improve. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Let's see. Back on Zoom, Julie, let me start, unmute you. You should be unmuted. Julie, you should be all set. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Julie Bartlett Nelson. I'm the head of the Calvin Coolidge Presidential Library Museum at Forbes Library. And I just want to thank the CPC for all of their work that they've been performing. I know we gave them tours of our collection, which I think was eye-opening, and I definitely encourage any counselors to reach out if you want to see the backroom archives and learn more about the collections there that are not currently on display. And I encourage the council to approve all of the CPC recommendations tonight. The Coolidge Museum grant will add new lighting that meets archival and preservation standards, national standards that reduce lighting levels, and also additional proposed changes will reduce our natural lighting levels to the room. This will allow for display of materials that are sensitive and vulnerable to light, such as textiles and manuscripts, which we currently do not have out. And it will also allow us to borrow items from other museums and other collections to supplement what we have or to create special exhibits. And currently, there are very few things that we can borrow from other museums because of the current standards. And draw attention to what my other colleagues have mentioned about tourism to Northampton. In 2025, we saw visitors from 44 states and 12 countries, specifically to the Coolidge Museum, as historic museums, not just attending events in the space. And we see researchers from elementary level to PhDs every year as well, performing research activities in the collections, ranging from a student paper to personal interest to writing a book. As well. So I thank you for your time and request for approval of grants tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. I believe there is another name here.
Actually, oh, you got it? No, I didn't get it.
I got it.
Thank you. Right, okay. So I see, so Joanne Sickles?
Good evening, City Councilors and Mayor. My name is Joanne Sickles. I live in Ward 3, and this comment has to do with our city's most vulnerable. There is one particular street here in Northampton that I feel should get immediate attention. This morning, there was a gentleman coming out of Allen Place who is in a wheelchair. There are no sidewalks at all on Allen Place. It is on the right-hand King, if you're coming into town on King Street, it's on the right-hand side and it goes out to Center Street. There is a gigantic pothole at the end of that street that is about this deep and this wide, literally. And this gentleman, I was afraid that he was going to tip over in his wheelchair. He was trying to get to his wife. I guess she works here in town. And it's just, without any sidewalks and a pothole that size and someone who is vulnerable actually in a wheelchair, I feel that it really is necessary to take a look and see if the DPW can at least fix some of the issues on that particular road. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you. Back on Zoom. I'm gonna. Dan Brindell, you should be able to start your video and unmute.
All right, hello? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank
wait.
you. Yeah,
Okay.
I just got back from the Bridge Street barbecue, so I'm a little too sweaty for video.
That's fine. I just want to make sure it was working if you wanted it. Go ahead.
I think it should be. So yeah, I want to Dan Brindell, Northampton, Ward 3. I want to open and end with a quote. Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity, and I hope you guys can keep that in mind. At the last city council meeting, towards the end, you guys voted on a zoning amendment. There was a lot of conversation. The president of the council said that it was important that residents be notified when construction was going to happen. Many of the other councilors talked about the importance of citizens and residents having power against developers and ways of sort of bringing them, to legal liability. And while you guys were saying all of that, you ripped out a chunk of the zoning code and just tossed it aside. The thing that you guys were all saying was so important, you gutted and ripped it out with very little conversation. Do you know who has the legal liability now when residents go to sue over a building? Do we have any idea how this process is even going to work? There was a lot of talk about two-family homes, but one of your colleagues, Councilor Robbins, was right to say there's no evidence that this is going to lead to more homes being built. And, I bring that up because tonight you guys have another really important vote that I don't think is going to get any kind of debate, and that's the budget vote. The school committee has told you unanimously this is an inadequate amount of money. They need more. They just voted to push you guys to push for the opt-in so that you could give more money. Those of us that watched the budget saw something very clear. You have capped hiring within the school while also massively incentivizing the IT department to solve problems across every department. So when we talk about how tech is flooding our schools and replacing teachers and kids are learning from iPads, that is happening right now. This is the meeting where that is going to happen because you guys are the bottleneck and you're creating those incentives. This should be the beginning of a community conversation, not the end of a process that started on Tuesday. This spent 15 minutes in the finance committee and was not debated. I want to end with a quote. Do not shoot the messenger. There are people telling you that
Dan,
there's
that's
a problem.
time. If you could just wrap it up, please.
As I said, I'm going to end with the quote, do not shoot the messenger. There are people telling you that there is a problem here. They are not the problem here. Please do the work, spend some time with this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I'm just going to check in the room. If you would like to make a comment, it's okay. You don't have to sign up. You can just come up to the podium. Yeah, welcome.
Sorry, I thought I had signed up.
Oh, maybe you did, and I didn't see it.
And I'm illegible or something?
I don't know.
Or I signed some, oh dear, what did I sign? My name is Maxine Schmidt.
No, you are there.
Oh, thank you.
Was,
I live in at 43 Fairview Avenue in Ward 4, and I want to speak also in support of the funding for Forbes for the Coolidge lighting. I'm on the board of the Friends of Forbes, but I'm actually speaking tonight on behalf of Straw Dog Writers Guild, who uses Coolidge, the Coolidge Library a lot. We have a regular free program there open to the public every month, and a few others in between during special times. And the lighting is sometimes problematic, particularly if someone is showing slides and you want the room dim, but you can't see the speaker if the slides are on. So hopefully this will solve that problem. And also the Parsons House. Every time I visit historic Northampton, I have a different view of this town when I walk around. I see those names on streets and buildings, and it's such an important resource. Both Forbes and historic Northampton are really significant and worthy of support. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxine. And apologies.
No worries. What did I sign, by the way?
Right, no, it was kind of ran into another name, and thank you. Okay, let's see about Zoom, and then we'll go back to the room. Let me see. Dr. Makaborski, you should be unmuted, and you should be able to start your camera.
Hi, you can hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful, thanks. This is Melissa Makaborski. I live in Northampton. There's something that everyone here should find alarming, and that is that critical thinking, debate, and questions are under attack in Northampton. And if you don't find that troubling, I think you really should take a minute and think about why. As you all know, I've been requesting a lot of public records for the past 2 years. I have a lot of data. There's a few things I haven't yet been able to get, and I'm pursuing other avenues but don't have yet. You, as the council, should have access to that. The first one is a list of all of the funding sources and revenue that's put to the side for the Picture Main Street project. Which accounts is that in, and where's the money? If the money is not there, where will it come from? Because we know this is going to be multiple millions of dollars. I'll tell you right now, an override is not going to pass, as most of you know, because we know that money is for Picture Main Street and not for schools. Second thing I can't get a hold of is something that Director Mish has referenced numbers from directly, but says doesn't exist, which is a list of the costs for the different options for vault remediation, including non-participating items for each option. She's quoted exact direct numbers from this, yet says it doesn't exist. As the council, you should be able to get a hold of that. What I'm going to do is continue to post records publicly here and on the public comment Northampton Facebook page for anyone who doesn't know about that. I know many of you visit it daily to check what's on there. And I'll continue to share this information. We will have transparency, and we will have—
Melissa, that's time. If you could just finish your sentence.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Anyone else in the room for public comment before we move on? Okay. Okay, hold on. Let's just check one more time. Okay, so now we're going to move on to we're done with public comment. We'll move on to announcements. Wait, yes, announcements from councilors and the mayor. Councilor Robbins.
Yes, Representative Sabadosa has just let us know that there will be a bystander training June 16th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the First Churches, and it's also a fundraiser, so it's going to be responsive to Luce, and it's being sponsored by a number of local organizations. And I know a lot of folks have asked about being trained as bystanders, so this is a really wonderful local opportunity to be able to go spend 2 hours, support Luce. There's a sign up that you have to have ahead of time, and I don't have the origin for it, but Representative Sabadosa does, and if it's okay, I'll also give it to Laura.
Yeah, great.
So folks can find it. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Nabad.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that the City of Northampton, DHHS, and I'm trying to find the flyer. DHHS and DCC tomorrow it ends tomorrow, their summer clothing drive. And so if there's anyone driving around with summer clothes in their car or they're ready to go with that, clothing can be dropped off tonight here at City Council Chambers. They can be dropped off at One Roundhouse Lot, at Thorns, at the fire department, the main fire department, Northampton Police Department, City Hall, Forbes and Lilly Libraries, and the Senior Center. And then I just have one more announcement. On June 24th, 2026, from 9:30 a.m. to 1, there will be a battery-powered landscaping equipment event in Northampton, and it's a partnership with the City of Northampton and the Mass Leading by Example program. Thanks.
Okay. Councilor Perry.
Yes, got a couple things here, which is exciting. So it's the summertime is coming, and first we've got Bands on Brewster, which started tonight. We are here, but there is bands playing, Dust Witch and I think Stella Cola, and that is every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Salsa in the Plaza also started this week. The first one was on Monday, June 1st, and that is from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. right in the E.J. Gare Plaza. And finally, it's already been talked about by some of our high school representatives, but there is our inaugural Juneteenth celebration. And I just wanted to say this is something that's been a long time coming. You know, I had mentioned this in the Select Committee to Study Racialized Harms to Residents and Workers, but it also was part of the recommendations from our Reparations Committee. But really, this event has been mobilized by our youth. And so I did want to make sure that Amelia and Kendall and Ansel and everyone just gets their props. It was really empowering to work with the youth, to work with the city, thanks to Brian Foote, who, you know, this was not planned for this year. This is something that this is the inaugural one. We're going to do it more. But the city was really accommodating in terms of helping to get permits, to move money, to make sure that everything was funded properly. And I'm really proud to say that, again, all of the folks who were performing, who were there for the event are people of color, are Black people, everyone from the sound person to the performers. It starts at 11, ends at 6. Music starts at 1 o'clock with Pamela Means. We've got Kamaya Diggs and Matali Banda. And I think it's going to be just a lovely event for everyone in the community, and I'm so proud to have been a part of that. So there you are.
Thank you so much. Okay, Councilor Loisel.
Yeah, I have two announcements. One is the Legislative Matters Committee that normally would meet on Monday is being postponed till June 28th. Just to let people know it'll be posted, but it's not this coming Monday. And another announcement, there's an event at the Bridge Street Cemetery on June 13th from 10 to noon, and it's a honoring of the 175 Revolutionary War veterans whose graves are there. The DAR chapter has done research to identify them, and importantly, there will be 3 musket shots. So if people hear it, that's what it is. It's an event. And it will include speakers, and the JFK students will be singing. So that is the 13th Saturday, 10 to noon.
Thank you, and thank you for warning us about the noise, so we don't think it's another meteor. Okay, councilors, mayor, anyone, before we move on to the consent agenda? Nope, okay. All right, we're moving on to the consent agenda. Pull it up. So, as usual, there shall be no debate or discussion by any city council member regarding any item on the consent agenda beyond asking questions for simple clarification. So any item may be removed from the consent agenda upon request. So I'm going to read through the items, and then councilors can tell me if they have any removals. A is minutes of May 7th, 2026. Thank you, Laura. B, approved, 25.323 National Grid Verizon petition to install 3 jointly owned poles on Burt's Pit Road. 25.324 National Grid Verizon pole to install 1 jointly owned pole on Burt's Pit Road. 25.325 National Grid Verizon petition to install 1 jointly owned pole on Burt's Pit Road. 25.326 National Grid petition to install 1 singly owned pole on Burt's Pit Road. 25.327 National Grid Verizon petition to install 1 jointly owned pole on Burt's Pit Road. G is 26.077 and the appointment of Patricia Healy to the Northampton Housing Authority. This says with a positive recommendation from City Services. And then, let's see, H 26.079, appointments to various committees for referral to cities. This is for referral. They haven't gone to City Services. Disability Commission, Carl Kruger. Council on Aging, Mark Bird. Karen Linz for the Council on Aging. License Commission, Amy Cahalane. Conservation Commission, Benjamin Hood. Board of Assessors, David Murphy. So that's all the consent agenda. Any removals? Or Council Stratton?
Oh, go ahead.
I know, but I think he might have to recuse himself, so that's why I'm
Well, I was going to request items G and H removed, and then I might just recuse myself from the rest of the consent agenda unless there are further removals.
Okay, wait, G through, so all the, okay, yeah, the poll petition, okay. Well, wait, G through, say it again.
G and H.
G and H, okay.
I was going to leave the poll petitions and possibly just recuse myself from the consent agenda.
Okay, got it. Okay, so those are removed, yes.
Yeah, I was just going to take 2 people out from the consent agenda to fill a vacancy, but since he took them all out, never mind.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna, okay, so any other removals? Yeah, recusals have to go before anything else, so we always have to go. All right, so we're gonna vote, so we're voting on, the consent agenda, which would be the minutes, and 25.323 National Grid Verizon petition, 25.324, 25.325, 25.326, 25.327, all those the petitions, and then the other items are removed. May I have a motion?
I just have a question.
Sure.
Since Councilor Stratton is taking H, everybody from H out, maybe we could hear why, since he's going to recuse himself?
Well, he's recused now, I believe? No.
He said he's going to recuse himself from the consent agenda?
Just the items, yes, but we've removed those, so they're not on the agenda.
Okay.
So he's removing himself from the poll petition.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
No, I thought he said just G. Is that?
No, he did not.
I was requesting the removal of items G and H from the
Right.
Consent agenda because I wish to speak to those.
Right.
Okay, let's vote. I'm looking for a motion to,
So moved.
okay. But who made the motion? Did you?
I didn't make it.
Oh, okay. Motion to approve the consent agenda without G and H?
Yeah, so moved. That's what I was
Okay, I
trying
need
to
a
say.
second, though.
Second.
I'm sorry, I thought maybe a second. Okay, so motion made by Councilor Loisel and seconded by Councilor Nabad. This will be a roll call vote on approval of items A through E, F.
Councillor Clemmer.
Yes.
Councillor Loisel.
Yes.
Councillor Maori.
Yes.
Councillor Nabad.
Yes.
Councillor Perry.
Yes.
Councillor Robbins.
Yes.
Councillor Stratton's recused. Councillor Davis.
Yes.
And Councillor Dobbs.
Yes.
Okay, so those pass, and we can have Councillor Stratton back to, and we'll be discussing G and then H. So G is 26.077, appointment of Patricia Healy to Northampton Housing Authority. Positive recommendation, city services. The chair, if you'd like to speak to this, or anyone, city split vote, 2-1, Stratton opposed, Robbins absent. So chair, you don't have to, but if you would like to speak to.
Yeah, there was a split vote. But Councillor Clemmer did the interview for this, so maybe perhaps you would like to speak on this?
Yeah. This position requires somebody who's in the union, which Patty Healy fits the bill for that, and I'm just getting my notes here. Prepare. She's also. Hold on a second. Okay. Sorry. Okay, there it goes. So I'm just opening up my notes about her.
Yeah.
So I'm endorsing Patty Healy for the labor representative seat, and it's reserved for a nominee for an organized labor and requires nomination by a AFL-CIO affiliated or construction trade union. Patty is a retired nurse and longtime labor activist. She's a strong record of public service. In February of 2025, she was appointed to fill a mayoral vacancy in the Northampton Housing Authority Board of Commissioners and was subsequently elected chair in October 2025. She's also served on the Charter Review Committee and the Council on Aging. And as chair of Housing Authority, Patty has demonstrated steady leadership during a particularly challenging period. Following the departure of the executive director, she worked with fellow commissioners to oversee the investigation, maintain continuity of operations, and keep the organization moving forward during a time of significant transition. I had an email from Ethel Everett, who's the president of the Western Mass Area Labor Federation, in favor of Patty Healy taking over the labor board seat on the Housing Authority. She, let me just see right now. Also, the person who is vacating the seat, Jeffrey Jones, he's stepping down, and he recommended Chair Patty Healy as his successor. Feels like that she's the right person for the job at this time, and I agree. I think I had a really nice conversation with her. She represented nurses when I had a debate on the nurse ratio question when I was chairing Indivisible, and she's a longtime supporter of nurses, and she's a supporter of people in the public housing, and I think she's the right person for the job.
Yeah, I just, one point of, I guess, clarification from either you or the chair is, are there even other union folks on the, is there?
Oh, on the.
Yeah.
I don't think so. It's just one.
Mayor.
Oh, the mayor might know.
So, no, this is Patty's the only name that's been put forward. We've asked previously, and last time Jeff Jones put himself forward as the only name, and then this time Patty Healy is the only name that the Labor Federation has put forward.
Thanks. Councilor Nabad?
No, neither is he, though. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Never mind.
I just wanted to speak in favor of this appointment because I recognize that Patricia Healy has been guiding the Housing Authority through this tumultuous time. And at the same time, she's been extremely responsive to residents that live in public housing, personally and professionally. And so I will be supporting this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Stratton?
Yes. So, the Northampton Housing Authority is kind of the remotest part of city government from the rest of us. It's arguably more of a state agency than a city agency. And it has a very, very challenging job. And I think no matter who is there are going to be complaints and concerns. I've certainly been hearing a lot of concerns about things. And really our only power is, with the mayor appointment and in theory removal. It's not clear to me that this appointment is actually our opportunity to meaningfully, provide oversight of the Northampton Housing Authority as kind of our people's fallback mechanism of appeal. My concern with this is purely technical and legal. However this council votes, Mrs. Healy, who's the current chair of that body, has another 2 years in her current generic mayoral appointment. So she's going to be part of this going forward no matter what we do. My concern is very specifically that the state law that this is trying to fulfill, and this is a lateral appointment from a generic mayoral appointee to the labor-specific mayoral appointed seat. And the language of the state law says that, the designated union shall provide a list of at least 2, but not more than 5 names. And I don't know why the legislature did that, but it's language they really love because they've used it very widely. They use it for all the designated seats on a housing authority. They use it for various municipal boards and commissions that are established in state law. That's the case for the architecture board and the real estate nominee that we had last time. And it doesn't seem that requirement is being communicated to, these outside organizations that have the power to make these recommendations. And I need to stress that this is not a recommendation. This is a law. The law further says that after 60 days without that recommendation, the mayor can appoint any, qualified person she wishes. That said, I don't really see this as a failure of the union because I don't think the language of the law was necessarily communicated to them. But the 2 letter things that we have forwarded from them, the one from Jeff Jones before their decision, and the letter from Ethel, I believe, after it, they refer to having voted on a single candidate rather than 2 or more as required by law. I don't really think that I want to blame this on them. I certainly don't want to blame it on the candidate. So I will be abstaining from the vote, but we need to start following the law going forward.
Okay.
Can I just, I'd like to,
Councilor Lorzell and then the mayor and.
well, I just wanted to ask the mayor to respond to that, please.
Sure, that is incorrect. We've shared the law with them. We've asked them repeatedly for more than 1 name, and they've only been able to return 1 name to us. But they have been informed of the law. They know the law. Jeff has actually served for many years. He knows the law. But additionally, we have shared it with him again, and he's brought it to the Labor Federation, and they've only been able to return 1 name.
Okay. Laura, could you make Councilor Stratton a co-host? He's just a guest, and it helps stack it so I can see him better, his hand better. Other councilors on the appointment of Patricia Healy. Okay. Okay. So why don't excuse me? Let's vote on the appointment of Patricia Healy, and then we'll move on to the other item.
Motion to approve Patty Healy.
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Councilor Nabad, seconded by Councilor Clemmer.
Okay. Councilor Loizell.
Yes.
Councilor Maori.
Yes.
Councilor Nabad.
Yes.
Councilor Perry.
Yes.
Councilor Robbins.
Yes.
Councilor Stratton.
Abstain.
Councilor Davis.
Yes.
Councilor Dobbs.
Yes.
And Councilor Clemmer.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes. All right, so we're moving on to 26.079, appointments to various committees. Disability Commission, as I said, Carl Kruger, Council on Aging, Mark Bird and Karen Linz, License Commission, Amy Cahalan, Conservation Commission, Benjamin Hood, and Board of Assessors, David Murphy.
Point of clarification?
Yes.
Wouldn't we automatically refer all of these to the City Services Committee? That's what has to happen?
Yeah, these are referrals, that's why, yes.
Okay.
I should have said for referral.
Okay, just.
I believe so, right? These
Another
haven't come
point
to-
of clarification is, I mean, it's up to Councilor Dobbs, but the reappointments, we sometimes don't go to
Oh,
city
okay.
services, so I just.
No, they all, I think they all have to go, I believe so, right?
Oh.
Right.
Right.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay. Counselor, Chair, did you have something to say? And then I saw Counselor.
No, just that these are referrals and seems fine to me. That's all. Huh?
Yeah, I should have said referral, yeah, so, yes.
Well, I'm going to move to refer these to city services. I've said in the past that I think for more critical boards and commissions, I would really like that committee to be interviewing people as a body and not just delegating one person. I see less of an issue with that here. And so I would be happy to speak to one or more of these people if the chair requests that. I would say that I'd be particularly interested in speaking with Mr. Hood, who's been proposed for the Conservation Commission, because in addition to its wetlands regulatory role, the Conservation Commission is the custodian of our conservation areas. But this is obviously the chair's decision.
Thank you. Okay, so voting on referral.
I'll second that. I don't think you need
Yeah,
to second it.
second, wait, who made the original motion? Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, Counselor Stratton made the motion, seconded by Counselor Perry. Roll call, thank you. On referral.
All right. Counselor Nabad.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Maori is the next one.
Okay, yes.
Counselor Nabad.
Yes.
Counselor Perry.
Yes.
Counselor Robbins.
Yes.
Counselor Stratton.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
Counselor Dubbs.
Yes.
Counselor Clemmer.
Yes.
And Counselor Loisel.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so those will go to city services. Thank you. Okay, so for the next item, these are on first reading. They're the round of the spring FY 2026 Community Preservation Committee, CPA funding recommendations. I talked to Sarah LaValle. She's out of town, and I wanted to let her, not have to, zoom in. So I would like to have discussion just about, this is just a referral, and then I will bring her for a more substantive and deliberative conversation, either to finance or to the next consent agenda. And so actually, I'll read through them. Let me read through them. Let's see. There is a cover letter. I'll just read the items for now since she's not here. 26.072, in order to appropriate $145,583 in CPA funds to Forbes Library for the Coolidge Museum lighting in first reading. They're all in first reading. 26.073, in order to appropriate $253,660 in CPA funds to Historic Northampton for the Parsons House restoration. 26.074, in order to appropriate $202,000 in CPA funds to design accessible rail trail entrance to Northern Avenue. 26.075, in order to appropriate $330,111 in CPA funds for the Nashwanuck, Brook Restoration Project. 26.076, in order to appropriate $7,000 and $625 of CPA funds to the Lilly Library Stair Rail Repair Project. And yeah, that's it. So those are the items. We can move them as a group if you'd like. I would recommend that. Oh, yes. Councilor
Yes,
Nabad.
to make a motion to move these as a group to the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to refer to the consent agenda, second by Councilor Loisel. And yes, any discussion? Yes, Councilor Stratton.
I'm curious and admit I neglected to research this in the past. Have these usually gone to the consent agenda or to finance?
Generally to the consent agenda, with the thinking that they have been vetted by the committee, and so they have that kind of extra, extra eyes. Sometimes we do, especially if there's something, a little bit more complex. We send them to finance and then back to the consent agenda. Yes, Mayor, and then Council. Oh, thank you. I don't want to. Councilor Davis.
Thank you. I'm sorry I've had to be on Zoom for these two meetings. I apologize. I
We're
know it
just
makes
glad you're here.
Okay, I know it makes it complicated to look for me all the way up here.
It shouldn't be. Pretty big.
On a massive screen, I don't want to speak. I have a question about these CPA funds, because I think they're wonderful and worthy, and I wonder, and maybe this is something that has to wait for someone who can answer this question that might not be here, as you just mentioned, but affordable housing is one of the uses of CPA funds, and I'm wondering why, even though all of these are worthy completely, I'm wondering why those didn't come up. Is it maybe because there was already around most recently where the money went mostly to that, and so this is something different? And I'm wondering if that question can be answered.
Yeah, I see Councilor Stratton, and I could chime in as well. No, go ahead. It's fine.
I can't promise that I'm 100% correct, but my recollection watching one of their early meetings was that a project they thought was coming was not ready this spring.
Right.
You know, we have the chair of the committee on Zoom. We could ask him, Brian.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could recognize Brian.
Sure.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Are they, does anyone object to me recognizing Brian Adams? Okay.
No.
Any counselor? Okay. Asked to unmute. Let's see. Okay. Okay. I'm not, Brian? Can someone else try? Who's a co-host? It's not.
I don't even see him.
Yeah, he's down there.
Oh, there he is.
Can you hit the ask to unmute button? Let's see. Just made him a co-host. Oh, that's great. Yeah, thank you. Brian, if you're still there, we had a question about the CPC. Okay, I don't see him. Okay, well, what I was going to just, oh, yes, go ahead, Counselor.
Oh, I just was going to say 10% goes to affordable housing, 10% goes to historic preservation, 10% goes to recreation, and 10% goes to open spaces, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So 10%, and I believe it can be more, depending on, we have to do that math that we did. But I asked, that's a great question I asked when I was, first got on council, and because it's not really even, like the spring tends to have more of certain projects and then we see more. But we did have to, when I'd say that was 6 or 7 years ago, we did actually ask the CPC to really be more proactive about, I guess, trying to find more affordable housing projects. It's a little bit who applies, so it's not that part's not up to the CPC, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, but we did encourage them to really kind of seek out places to let know, that would bring in affordable housing grants, proposals, excuse me.
Yeah, just two things on that note. Recreation is actually not a mandatory funding category. It's kind of the stepchild of open space. But yeah, application deadlines come really fast. So if anyone is thinking about a project for the fall, you should be working on it right now.
Yeah, thank you. Mayor.
So I don't believe that there's ever been an affordable, I don't know where that's coming from, housing project that has not been funded by the CPC.
Right. So then it's just a matter of them getting in front of the committee and making sure it's known to fill out applications.
Oh, believe me, they know.
Yeah.
It's just
they do know. I meant the community. People who could apply. Yeah. So that's great. Thank you for the question. And okay, I got so into it. Where were we? We were. We have a motion on the floor. So these are a referral to the consent agenda. Any other discussion before we vote on referring these items to the consent agenda? Okay. Roll call, thank you.
Sure. Councilor Nabad?
Yes.
Councilor Perry?
Yes.
Councilor Robbins?
Yes.
Counselor Stratton,
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Let's see. Oh, there's a little lag. Are you muted?
Yes, yes, I'm saying yes to you.
Okay, great.
Counselor Dobbs,
Yes.
Counselor Clemmer,
Yes.
Counselor Loisel,
Yes.
and Counselor Maori.
Yes. Okay, so I would like to take a a break till 8:10, and then we'll take up the financial orders on second reading, the budget orders. And that's where we're at, right? Okay, so see you at 8:10. Turn off your mics and cameras. Okay, welcome back to the Northampton City Council June 4th meeting. We are on to financial orders. Just pull them up. These are in second reading. These are the financial orders associated with our budget. The history, I'm going to read the history, referred to Finance Committee, 5/21/26, FY 2027 budget hearing held May 27th and June 2nd, 2026, 26.064, in order to approve FY 2027 general fund budget. Positive recommendation, Finance 2-1, 26.065 to 26.069, unanimous positive recommendation with one abstention. And let's see, I'm just going to read the orders. 26.064, in order to approve FY 2027 general fund budget, second reading, they're all in second. 26.065, in order to approve FY 2027 sewer enterprise fund budget. 26.066, in order to approve FY 2027 water enterprise fund budget. 26.067, in order to approve FY 2027 solid waste enterprise fund budget. 26.068, in order to approve FY 2027 stormwater and flood control enterprise fund budget. And finally, 26.069, in order to approve FY 2027 revolving funds. Okay, so counselors.
My hand is raised.
Yeah, okay. Let me pull up my things. Okay, Counselor Clemmer and then Counselor Nabad.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2027 general fund budget, 20.064. Are we grouping this?
I mean, you can make the motion to group them. We generally vote on them individually, but you can do whatever. It's a choice.
So, I'll make a motion on the general fund budget, and then we can do the others.
I'd second that.
Okay, great. So motion on the floor for the first financial order, made by Councilor Clemmer, seconded by Councilor Perry. Yes, I'm just making sure I see everybody. Mayor, would you like to speak to that? Go ahead. There's no other hands right this second.
I'd be happy to. First, I want to thank the department heads who spent time with us over the many hours of the budget hearings. I didn't count them this year. I don't know if you did, Council President, but there were many. Yeah. And I am endlessly grateful for their work and their expertise, and especially for what I think was obvious, which is their passion and their appreciation for their departments and the work that they do and the people that they work with. So the budget that you have before you is a solid and a balanced budget. It's a budget that extends our record increases to the Northampton Public Schools. It's a budget that grows our fire rescue department and continues our groundbreaking division of community care. It's a budget that supports our climate action and project administration department, which, as you heard on Tuesday, has created cost savings through energy efficiencies, which also help protect our future. It's a budget that incorporates many difficult decisions to strategically allocate finite resources so we can maintain essential services without eroding our fiscal foundation. In a time when cities, big and small, across the state and the country are struggling with inflation and the climate crisis, with an unstable and vindictive federal government, and with the corrosive economic impacts of online retail and online entertainment, we are facing up to these challenges, and we're building a sustainable city that attracts new families and new visitors and supports the services that those who have very deep roots here also rely upon. So while many municipalities are facing sudden and severe budget shortfalls, prompting unexpected override referendums and cuts to schools and services, we are a rare city with a fiscal stability plan that anticipates periodic, reasonable overrides at least every 4 years. The fiscal stability plan has helped provide us with the recurring revenue needed to make the critical investments cities need to survive and to thrive. Our last override vote was in March 2020, just days before everything closed for the pandemic. Thanks to careful planning and prudent investing, we are headed into fiscal year 2027 with one more budget that does not require an override. But to make this budget work, we have to cut where we can, and over the last 2 years have greatly pushed our revenue projections, which have been significantly aided by an increase in interest income. And even with all of that, this year we've had to pull another $1.9 million out of the Fiscal Stabilization Reserve account to fill the deficit. That is added to the $5 million used from those reserves in the previous 2 fiscal years. So as soon as this budget goes into effect, we all need to turn towards a community conversation about the override vote Northampton will need to support the fiscal year 2028 budget. This won't be a surprise. We have been discussing the projections every year for what is needed to maintain the services under Prop 2.5 with all of the other revenue sources that we rely on. Whenever we have relied on reserves with a planned use, I have said that we must eventually pass an override to make those increases recurring and sustainable. And this time around, in addition to the community meetings around an override that have been done in the past, we're also going to bring together a budget and override advisory committee to talk about options. What do we want to accomplish with the next override? Sustainability? Do we want to talk about how we can grow and incorporate, for example, some of the additions that the school committee would like? Every department in the city and the schools have needs that would require more funding. I appreciate that people are advocating. City department heads advocate to me as well, but I don't present those lists to you unless we have worked to make the additions sustainable, which is why the increase in fire rescue was 3 years in the making to get to being fully incorporated in this FY27 budget. So we are really in a transitional moment in multiple ways. Across Western Mass, the Commonwealth, and increasingly the country, there are intense conversations happening, in particular about the huge increases in school costs and shifts in funding with declining enrollment. Here in Northampton, we are about to welcome a new superintendent, a new school business manager, a new assistant business manager, and a director of curriculum and instruction. So that is a tremendous amount of change. And there is really great interest and energy in working together to tackle the pressures of the moment and also to build towards something more. I know some do want to talk about more, so I think we should talk about it. And we also have to talk about the impact that any increase has on so many residents that are acutely feeling the pressures of inflation and increased home values on their tax bills. At the end of the day, it will be up to Northampton voters whether to continue the plan that has enabled a period of increased funding amidst rapidly rising costs. And it'll be up to them what direction we go in. I believe that we are in a strong position to have that community conversation and to have it with compassion and creativity and with facts. So tonight's deliberations are in some ways, in my mind, the beginning of that conversation. And once you complete your deliberations, I ask you for your support of the budget before you. We are not losing anything with this budget, which can't be said for many of the communities around us. But to reach this level of funding for the schools and the city departments, we have come to a point where on July 1st, we start our work together as a community on where we want to go from here. So I thank you so much for your consideration. I thank you for all of the thoughtful questions and all the work that you've put into this. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Okay. Just going to pull up my screen so I can see all hands. Okay. I see Councilor Nabad.
Yes, thank you. Well, as everybody knows, I'm a new counselor, and pretty much, even starting during the campaign period, we've been talking about this budget and taking input, and I know for myself, speaking with my constituents and residents. So I did actually make a statement tonight, and so with that, I'm going to read it. Given the departments of the City of Northampton are already working on skeleton crews, I would worry very much about removing any budget items from DHHS, DPW, City Services, Parks and Recreation, Fire and Rescue, the NPD, and the schools, all of them. That's why I would have voted no on the mayor's initial budget, and I will vote yes on this level services budget for all departments. For many years, our city has maintained the budget responsibly, especially following the economic crash of 2008 to 2009. If we had no fiscal stabilization budget, what would we have done while waiting for reimbursement from the federal government during an unprecedented global pandemic? As we look towards the future, we consider the generations to come after. We are no longer here. We have an oath to maintain the balance of our city budget. Soon, Coca-Cola leaves, the use of ARPA funds is dwindling, and this will result in less free cash over time. My promise to the people of Ward 1 is to maintain a responsible, balanced budget for the long term. It is impossible to make a flat determination that one city department is more important than another. In 2024, as the city of Northampton moved towards an override, the override was rescinded following a $3.4 million being taken out of the stabilization fund for the funding of Northampton public schools. And if I have my facts wrong, people can correct me. So far, Northampton has been able to stave off overrides by extending the life of the ARPA funds and maintaining a healthy 4.86% in our fiscal stabilization fund. As all municipal officials know, it is our legal responsibility to follow healthy municipal budgeting practices. And as we look across the state, we see many municipalities turning to overrides. Some have been approved, some have not, and some, despite being approved, still will not cover the deficits in their budgets. Therefore, I feel the duty to adhere to a responsible city budget. With EBT and other social services, including medical services, being slashed out of federal and state budgets, the residents of Northampton are going to find the need to spend more money out of their own pockets. And I think about this with people living in housing on fixed income. For fixed income households, this creates a higher level of precarity in housing security, food security, health services security, and economic stability. Raising taxes above Prop 2.5 with an override will take a toll, not just on homeowners, but also renters, driving rental prices through the roof. We cannot afford to house less people. Rather, we need to continue to make our city accessible to families, youth, and people of all incomes and ages. The situation in Northampton is no different than in many cities and towns across the state. Federal cuts to programs and state cuts to programs, as a result, means a heavy burden on communities. As time moves forward and the city of Northampton builds more housing and becomes more welcoming and safer to new businesses, our growth will hopefully improve the fiscal situation in our community. It is impossible to say that a vote for a balanced budget is a matter of personal values. What's more, a responsible municipal leader will always consider all priorities across the city without inserting their personal values into budgetary decisions made for the long-term sustainability of our residents and municipality. Thus, my choice to vote for this budget today is not a reflection of my own personal experiences or impacted by my own personal trauma or personal interests, and is entirely based upon my observations of the needs of all city departments. Any cuts to any department right now, including the school budget, would put residents at risk, while calls to fire, police, and rescue could stack up, and human beings who run the city and work sometimes for 16-hour shifts or days at a time would be directly impacted by any cuts to their budgets. My hope is that the new superintendent of schools can take a critical look at what is happening in the Northampton Public Schools and work effectively with the school committee. I look forward to watching the school committee work in meaningful and impactful ways with the new superintendent and with each other. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just checking for hands. Okay, I see Councillor Robbins and then Councillor Clemmer.
Yeah, go for it. I'm sure.
It's probably that kind of evening, sort of
Yeah.
statement evening. But
Yes.
this has been a process.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Sorry. It's been a process. It's been an interesting one. I think it's one that we still have a lot of learning to do. And I want to actually thank every single Northampton resident who has queried us, requested, researched, asked questions, suggested, approved, wondered, demanded, supplied hard data and personal experience, and overall worked as a community to protect what we treasure about our city. And I think we can all agree that this year has been horrific nationally. What we need to find further agreement on is how we maintain and fund the essential needs we've identified as priority for our little city, despite the nightmare orchestrated from Washington. I think most of us would agree that we probably shouldn't be building a World Wrestling Arena in Pulaski Park. I'm just going to say no to that. Our community has made their hopes and dreams known, and we have worked hard to bring them to the attention of this council, and I ask that we seriously consider them when we spend their taxes and fees, because this is a democracy. And tonight we're going to be asked to vote on a city budget of $136,225,218 cents for the fiscal year 2027, as well as approving $16,307,311 out of enterprise funds for a total of $152,532,529. And it's a lot of greenbacks. It's a huge responsibility. We need to be absolutely sure that we are allocating precious resources towards the essential services residents prioritize. And I want to recognize the effort and the dedication shown by the people who work for the city, the ones who, as Councillor Loisel marvels, allow us to turn a tap and get clean water, the ones who see our children safely across the street to school, the ones who see that our city bills are accurately and promptly paid, the ones who answer the emergency phone and dispatch help, and the other city workers to whom we are so grateful for their services and who we fund through this annual budget. We've received some excellent financial background for our attention to this budget, but not enough. We have heard from some department heads, but not all. We have, for the first time, been allowed to watch the presentations to the mayoral-picked advisory committee on capital planning, but oddly, not their prioritizing deliberations, which translate to what we put in the SIP. We work with a 5-year capital improvement plan separately from the annual budget because our mayor says no, despite our overall watchdog responsibility to evaluate and vote on all city annual allocations and appropriations, yet both these budgets are intertwined in expending resident and business taxes and fees towards the city's priorities. We operate from a fiscal stabilization plan that I believe strongly absolutely needs rethinking in terms of where we prioritize, divide, and allocate annual retained earnings and free cash. This year's also been one of surprises and disappointments. We discovered that after pushback from our mayor, it was not easy, that Picture Main Street's not free, that we have been paying for it since actually 2018, and that the city cost FAQs were not just blurry at $3.6 million, they're currently $11.8 million, off by more than 300%, and funded locally by substantial taxpayer revenue or enterprise funds reprioritize state grants. We own the still vacant Baptist church, if it was still on the tax records, would have brought continued and much needed property tax revenue. As a council, we have had no overall big picture conversation about budget and priorities. We've had no opportunity as a council or even as a finance committee to intensively go through both the SIP and the budget together in any kind of organized deep dive. Mayor Sciarra informs us tonight that this is the beginning of a community conversation. And while I applaud that, I query why that conversation is not being ongoing. We need to be very wary of operating and voting by I think and not we know. My last word for us as council, mindful of what I was once more recently advised by our mayor that we have no power, is to see our children as an essential service and to request, beg, and plead that our mayor allocate the money to fund what the people who make our city, our treasure perhaps as much as running water, education. When our school principals and teachers and parents who are on the ground every day say we desperately need teachers to alleviate overcrowded classrooms, and we say this is not a serious priority, we are abrogating our fiscal duty to see that the children in our community are treasured. To me, this is an unconscionable dereliction of elected commitment to service. Your vote matters tonight. Please think about the world our children are growing up in and give them the tools they will need to change. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, so I see Counselor Dobbs and then Counselor Davis, and then I'll check again.
Thank you. I apologize ahead of time if my notes are a little unorganized and if I jump around a little bit. I'm sorry about that. In my first two budget votes as counselor, I voted no on those budgets. At the time, I stated that those budgets did not reflect the priorities and values that I believe our city government should be striving towards. I believe that this budget gets us closer to reflecting those priorities and values. In the past 2 years, we've seen cuts to staffing in schools that was very concerning. In this budget, there are no cuts to staffing in schools. That doesn't mean that there aren't concerns about what's happening at the schools. There has been concern recently regarding safety and access for all students in the JFK middle school classrooms, concern that science and social studies classes will have 27 or more students without adequate space or supplies, and so that does concern me. But I have seen progress, and I want to make sure that I acknowledge that. I previously have advocated strongly for a level services school budget, and we are getting that this year. This budget gives us that. In the past, I have expressed concern about the vacancies at DPW and how that worried me a lot. And now we still have vacancies, but there are less vacancies, and so that's progress. We've hired 8 new firefighters, still 5 short, but the city is working to fill those positions, and this is progress. So, a member of the public said something tonight that I thought was really important. They talked about building trust, and so my vote tonight is my way of trying a new strategy to show that I do trust the people that I work with. I appreciated what the mayor said about this. This is the beginning of the conversation. Tonight is just one vote that we're making, and that doesn't mean that we don't have more work to do. We do have more work to do, and we will do that. So tonight, I want to express my firm dedication and commitment to learning more about what I can do as counselor to help continue to advocate for this progress that we're making. And for example, I will be meeting with our new superintendent, Annie Azarloza, later this month, and I look forward to the conversation that we will have. So my vote tonight is a gesture of support for the progress that we've made, and it's a gesture of encouragement to keep going, to keep progressing. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Davis.
Thank you. Counselor Dobbs, you said almost every single thing that I have written down as well. But if you'll indulge me, I'll just put it. I probably have in a different order. I wanted to mention that a community member said something in public comment that troubled me a bit, and that is that I believe that I and my fellow counselors have in fact debated, thought, spent time with this budget. We've listened to many detailed presentations, and that is a form of learning and thinking about what the priorities and the needs of our community are, and we ask questions. And it's not only in the finance subcommittee. So I just wanted to say that as a member of that finance subcommittee. I want to note that as a former longtime educator and school committee member for 2 terms, I know that schools always need more. And as Counselor Dobbs mentions very specifically, the science classes at the middle school, that's a very difficult situation. And should there be a way, yes, I absolutely know that would be a priority to have smaller class sizes for those situations and the proper equipment. It would be better to have more money, but this is where we are in a sustainable situation. And a little bit more predictable and looking to the future as well as to today. And it's very important to try to strike that balance. And I really appreciate and look forward to the conversation as noted by the mayor. Thank you.
Okay. I see Councillor Stratton.
So yesterday, I thought that I would escape for the day and take the day off and try out that interstate rail trail we were told about a few weeks in the past. And at some other point, we'll talk about how there's no near-term plan to connect between East Hampton and Westfield across the road gap. But turns out you can't bike away from a budget battle. 50 miles south, down the hill from my childhood home, there's lawn signs for the town meeting version of this debate. It's omnipresent. But this is Northampton. And it is a fact that we are underfunding our schools. This budget is level only in sustaining the consequences of previous deeply harmful cuts. We are underserving our children. That's a fact. The question is if we will have the courage to do anything about that. Some have talked about trying to find money elsewhere in the operating budget. I don't really think it's there. I'll admit a limited suspicion over some positions we're probably pretty sure aren't going to be fulfilled, and that money just kind of gets turned back in interesting ways. But I don't really think that's where the money is. When it comes to fancy projects of dubious merit, the city has money to throw around. But when it comes to staffing the schools that educate our children, we claim to be broke. So long as we treat the suggestion against returning even a sensible fraction of the surplus of last year's budget underestimation into the current operating budget as if it were one of the 10 commandments, we have an excuse to treat projects and people differently and to shirk our moral obligation to our children. We're going to be going to the people for an override. But before we do that, we need to justify that we've used the money they already pay in the most strategic way to meet their priorities and not only our own. Our stubborn split between how we spend on people versus capital projects does not do that. The people of Northampton will not pass an override until we legislate for their priorities by seeing through false distinctions and recognizing that at the end of the day, money is money. Until we show we are willing to use what they already pay in the way that best matches their needs rather than our own visions, an override will not pass.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor. Let me bring this up. Counselors. Counselor Perry. Take your time.
All right, so I didn't prepare a super speech, but I do want to thank all the counselors here for their statements. You know, this is our first time for many of us in this rodeo, and it's at least my first time working with a lot of you guys. And so a lot of what I was going to say or would say has been spoken very eloquently, and I'm really thankful for that. I'm getting to watch people grow in real time, and that's really important for me. You know, the mayor also talked about our surrounding neighbors and cities and watching their financial struggles. And what I saw through these budget presentations was a city stewarded by people who really understand sort of that reality. You know, no department really said they were flush with cash or like Scrooge McDucking and doubloons. It's like a Ducktoons reference, DuckTales. Pardon me. But we did hear each department talking about trying to do the best for our city as efficiently as possible. And that really stood out to me. They talked a lot about working together, utilizing resources, and also trying to save the city money whilst doing it. You know, that really stood out. There's many instances where there are departments who were working together that, you know, it's minor, but it really shows that we're doing this together. The thing that really also stood out to me is that this budget is a document of people. You know, all of these budgets primarily represent people who are working for our city, and I've said a lot of times that our greatest strength is our people. And I think for me, what again stands out is that if we want to move forward, we have to do it together. I really was moved, Councillor Dubs, by talking about this as being trust and trusting in the people who are working here. You know, I salute not only the department heads, but it's really the people under them who are doing that heavy lifting. You know, it stood out to me when we toured the water facility and Donna, Director Lascalia said, Part of me, if some of those guys weren't very talkative, but they stayed over to plow the streets. They took us on a tour. Here are our newbies, being all excited. But like that for me was kind of the heart of things. I believe that this level service budget is appropriate. I know that there's more that we should and could do, and I will also salute the mayor's office for working with our businesses. There's a lot of talk about, no one really discussing with the businesses. I've been to the DNA meetings. I've watched as Alan and Annie are there. I watched at the last meeting where businesses talked about, in the DNA, they had kind of 4 pillars, and the only pillar left standing is the city giving money. These people in the businesses are moving past Picture Main Street. We've been talking about this in this body a lot, but I will tell you that there are people who are working towards what happens during and after Picture Main Street. They don't have the luxury of debating back and forth about the past. They really have to look out for their employees, their businesses in their city. These are people who are committed, and so I do salute you, Alan, in the mayor's office. I know you don't like the spotlight, but again, for me, it's really moving to watch folks come together. I watched a school committee meeting where folks in the community came together to gather AC units and all of these things. I grew up in a time in DC where you didn't really rely on the government for everything, but you relied on your community and the people, and that's inspiring to me. And again, that is why I'm going to support this budget, because it, for me, shows that how much the people in the city care about the city. It's each one of us doing our best to help move things forward. And I encourage everyone watching this and people in the community to, instead of, coaching from your armchair or whatever, like, let's all get out there and do what we can, because every little bit helps. And I know that's not the point of the budget, but really that is what shines to me, is watching all of these people who care about the city do so much. And I'll support this budget, and I support all the people here in the city. And also, I will continue to ask. I know we were presented with some priority positions, for instance, in the school. I will continue to support appropriations for that. That is not before us now. What is before us is getting this level services budget, but I will continue to try and fight for all we can get and do within our means for our children, our seniors, and everyone in between. So,
thank you, Councillor. Councillor Loisel.
Let's see. I didn't also prepare anything, but I've thought about this a lot. I just want to say to people who are concerned that we aren't thinking critically or we haven't thought about this, I probably read this many times, this 200-page document, and asked a lot of questions on the floor and privately in emails. It bothered a lot of people. Prior to that, I met with somebody who spent a lot of time last year trying to educate the council about a different way of budgeting, listened to the arguments, and so I came with an open mind to hear what people had to say. And I also reached out to other people, like I talked to somebody at the Division of Local Services, to ask what is too much in a reserve. And we're not hoarding money in our reserves. We're doing what's fiscally recommended by the state. I talked to our auditor, independent auditor, and he confirmed that we are not saving too much money, that what we're doing is a wise thing to do. So I feel like what our city has done with this fiscal stability plan is really a good thing for our city. It keeps us stable. And I don't take that for granted. I think what the mayor said about it's a solid, balanced budget is true. I see that. It's kind of amazing to me that the last override was March 2020, so I know it was expected to be shorter, and we were able to stretch it. That's great. I also want to make a comment about projects versus people, because I don't see projects. It's not a binary like that, projects versus people. Like I saw a very big pothole on a sidewalk being filled this week, And it then enabled a person who walks her daughter to school and she's in a wheelchair to be able to walk her daughter to school on that sidewalk. So projects are done for people. And, running water, I don't know. The people in Detroit would say they would like to have running water for their children. I mean, running water is something that's good for children. I mean, healthy running water. So I see I don't feel like we have to pit those things that our children need against the schools. It's just, we have to do it all to the degree that we can. And something else. Oh, transparency. I just think this is a model of transparency. It took me a while to figure out how to read it, but once I did that, I realized there's a lot in it. And that we can answer our own questions. And I have a lot of respect for this budget. In terms of the schools, I am glad that we're doing level services budget. And I know that there's a list of priorities, and if we do adopt this budget, I really sincerely hope that the school committee and the leadership will come together and figure out, okay, now that we know what we have, that they can maybe add some of those priority things in. I hope they do. That's their work to do, though, not our work. And just another thing, I don't know how anybody could think 15% increase is something that's sustainable. It just seems like it's not sustainable. It's like, and so I'd like it to be, but it's not. And there was something else I was going to say. Well, I do hope that the school committee can work together to figure out what they're going to do if they get the level services budget, so that if there's some positions that they've realized are more important than others, because I don't know how, it seems like they came to us with a strong budget, and I don't know how closely they looked at level services. So maybe there's some switches they can make, and I hope they do that. I know. I was just going to say that I've just watched this city government for 3 decades very closely, and it's not a small thing that we have this stability from year to year, and I really appreciate it. And I will support this budget happily. Yeah.
No, I go last because of the chair. Thank you.
I also didn't prepare something to say, so it's a bunch of notes. So, like Councilor Dubs, excuse the if I'm all over the place. First, I'd like to thank the mayor and Director Nardi, my fellow councilors, and all the department heads for all the work they put into throughout the year, bringing us this budget. It's not just a month that they get together and put this together. It's throughout the year. They have meetings at least monthly, probably way more. Also, the mayor's office, who had to put this whole book together, and a lot of work goes into it, so I really appreciate everything. And the presentations as well. We had, at least 8 hours of presentations spread out over 2 nights, after many people working a full day. So for the schools, we're getting a new superintendent, we're getting a new finance director, and we're getting 2 other front office people there that deal with finance. I'm really excited about that. I have an appointment to meet the new superintendent, Annie Azarian, in a few weeks, and I think it's great that she's coming with some fresh ideas, and to see what's going on. Take a look at everything. Take a look at the staffing, and hopefully work with the school committee and make some changes and find out more ways to help the children. And then I just ask people too that want this 15%. Where would the money come from? What departments would you cut from, and what'd you cut out? Because after the school, the next highest paid department is the fire department, and they're about over $8 million. And then the police department's over 7 million, and then, CAP is only 290,000, and DPW is 4 million, with a lot of it in enterprise. So, where would you cut money from if you want to find another 3.5 million to make the strong budget? And I still haven't gotten an answer about that one. Just look at East Hampton. They have a vote next Tuesday. They're in the jam they're in because the reserve funds were drained over a number of years. And now the new mayor came in and has to do something about it. So he's asking for an override. Hopefully it passes, because if it doesn't, there's going to be a lot of cuts in our neighboring town. And we had a finance committee meeting after the last budget meeting on Tuesday. We also had one for many of the SIP projects, and I was just amazed that items were referred to finance, but nobody spoke about it. That was the time to have robust conversations. Director Nardi was still here, the mayor was here, and we just were, the presentations were still fresh in our head. And I was just surprised that at either one, nothing really came of it. And of course, all roads lead to Picture Main Street. It's for over 3 years now, I've been hearing about this. We've heard about the money that we have to contribute which we would have to contribute no matter what. Even if we don't do this project, the road still needs to be fixed. The sidewalks need to be fixed. I mean, we saw Councilor Dubb's, fantastic presentation, and it just doesn't make sense to me that people aren't getting it, that this money's coming to us. We're getting over $25 million from Mass DOT, and of course we have to contribute some, but if it wasn't for that money, we'd have to contribute way more. We'd have to put in 25 million, and we would get a fraction of the wonderful changes that we're going to have. So I don't understand why that just doesn't, people can't accept that and be appreciative that we're getting, all this money. Like, they don't just give money out willy-nilly, It's any other community that's been given these gifts from them are thrilled. And I don't know why there's so much fighting about it. The schools too, I've got a lot of emails about the declining enrollment in the school. And, we do have more support staff now, maybe not teachers, but we have the paras that are helping the kids. A lot of people, one letter I got said, less students, less money. And I really haven't gotten any giving more money to the schools emails, but I have gotten many about fixing the roads. And I know firsthand how a fall could be life-changing. I was lucky, I'm doing okay, but elderly people, I get pictures of people that have fallen and their faces are bruised up. They lose teeth, their arms are, broken, and they don't bounce back that easily. I'm pretty hardy, so I did. And, if people think there's money out there, I'd like specific amount of money, where it can come from, that we can use, because I have my faith in the mayor and Director Nardi that they've turned over every rock to try to get as much money as they can, and they have the last few years. So of course, I'm going to vote for this budget as I have the last 2 years.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. Okay, I'll go with my statement, and then we can have further discussion if needed. So let me find it. Yeah, so I also want to say thank you to all of our community members who've reached out to us, who've come to comment. I'd like to thank the department heads and the departments, the mayor and the mayor's office, the finance director, Charlene Nardi, for their tremendous work of building and balancing a budget, which is a lot of work over a long period of time. It's certainly a sobering time to be in municipal governance. I think that's one thing we could probably all agree on. I'm grateful that we were able to reach level services for our schools, and I appreciate the mayor's efforts to do so early enough to avoid pink slips and additional uncertainty and stress for our students, families, and staff. I deeply appreciate interrupting that kind of cycle of distress. I see this as, just certainly an improvement from the cuts we had faced in the past. That said, it is a holding pattern. That's what level services is. For years, we have funded our schools at levels that really didn't keep pace with the growing needs, especially after the pandemic. That's maybe not unique to us. But we have reduced interventions and supports, particularly for students, who need them the most. And what happens with that is that we can face greater costs later on in their educational careers that are more costly and the needs become more profound. So in that way, it's an investment to interrupt that cycle of that leads to greater costs and serious challenges later. And we have cut some classes and programs over time that would attract and retain students. So that's something to think about in terms of investing, like what will keep our students here, what will attract other students from other options they have, and to think about what those programs and classes, what the return is on them, and think of it that way. I understand the reasoning behind this budget. It is not the budget I would have crafted. I would take more calculated risks today because I truly see our schools and our education as the investment. It's not a money pit or a drag on other departments, as sometimes I've heard it described. Schools, good schools retain their students and attract new residents, increasing our tax base, increasing our school funding, our ability to attract talent. And quality education perpetually, saves money in terms of health costs, crime, all sorts of social indicators. It is an investment. We have, over the few years, we've kind of repeatedly acknowledged that there's at least ongoing pockets of crisis in the schools. We continue to struggle to meet to meet the growing special education needs since the pandemic, and all the lingering effects of the pandemic, learning loss, and to provide students and staff with the support that they deserve. Percentage increases, that we cite, they really, to me, they mean little if we don't actually meet the needs. So we need to look at the needs, we need to understand the needs, and we need to meet the needs. And that can take many, that's a complex problem-solving exercise. It involves money, it involves assessing needs, and it involves being nimble in what's often a slow municipal process to meet the students that are before us now, and I think there's sometimes a difficulty there. So this year, I am willing to support a level services budget. I have been fussy about budgets. I have been here for 7 years. You could even call me a fuss budget. I have voted down many budgets. I might have voted down more than I have approved, and I've offered amendments. This is, to me, the holding pattern, and with the whole picture of the frightening federal landscape, the uncertainty, the cuts in grants. It's the whole picture, and not only that, but the change in leadership. We've had a disconnect in our leadership. We're getting a new superintendent, a new school business manager, July 1st, right after the budget season ends. Because of all those things coming together, I think this, I'm willing to accept a level services budget, and I think that I would expect over the next year, I think my expectations may be different in a year. But this is where I am now. I really don't want unmet needs to become the new normal. I don't want us to get too comfortable with that, even though I understand the pressures and that we're under. I would expect a thoughtful evaluation of how we're using our resources, how we're allocating them, and whether they align with our priorities and best practices now. So yeah, next year I expect us to do better under this new leadership. And I will just say that, my oldest is graduating from high school, from Northampton High, and boy, does it go by fast. And so this is our chance, it's our chance. We get this one chance to educate our children. And, and we owe them, a plan, a vision, a commitment to their success. It's going to be a challenging year, folks. And I hope wherever we land, we can come together, even in this frightening kind of federal landscape, and continue to think outside the box and continue to push ourselves and center those in our community who are going to be most impacted by the growing costs and the inequities that are growing, and center and protect our most vulnerable residents, including our students, and on all fronts. That is our task this year. And we can disagree, and we can disagree strongly. But when we are so divided we can't move forward, those are the people who are going to suffer. And we owe them better than that. Thank you. All right. Does anyone have any further? Yes, Councilor Stratton.
So Councilor Clemmer, Finance Committee Chair Clemmer, has asked where the money is going to come from. I must painfully admit that I don't see a path to the strong budget. I really wish there was. I don't see the pathway. However, we can do better, and we must do better. So where is the money going to come from? Well, I've answered this many times, and I've usually been interrupted with an abuse of parliamentary procedure every time I try to explain. Councilor Clemmer strayed from what she would consider to be tonight's topic by talking about Main Street. I considered raising a point of order. I did not, because I thought that she should make her point and I should make mine. So I will be brief, but I trust that I will be given the same courtesy. What makes that project expensive is moving the curbs. That's the driver of the ultimate cost. However, the supposition that we were given from the planning department that moving the curbs is the only way that the state and Pioneerville Planning would give us federal money is actually false. However, I'm not here to talk about the federal money. I'm here to talk about the recent estimate, $11.8 million in local money. Okay, so $3.15 million of that is sitting in the bank for the pipes. We could reprogram that with the consent of the mayor. If Open Checkbook is up to date, $1 million of that for design and construction is still unspent. There's some question about how much has actually been spent. Looking elsewhere, there's $1.6 million for former free cash for phase 2 of the high school and Elm Street reconfiguration. And we had about $6 million of free cash this year, of which $1.3 million, going by totaling up orders that have come from the council, the mayor hasn't yet told us what she's going to do with. She has to park it somewhere by the end of the fiscal year, or we lose access to it until the next free cash certification. Additionally, before I leave Picture Main Street behind, we've had, I think we all agree that the status of the roads and sidewalks are a widespread civic priority. Making Picture Main Street works means that we take the Chapter 90 awards for the entire city and we direct it to just a few blocks out there. So, returning really to the topic of the budget, there is this pretense that our hands are tied, and that pretense comes from the insistence on treating recurring budget spending, which is mostly salary and benefits, different than project spending. Now, obviously, there's lots of projects that have merit, and there are projects that don't. But if we pretend that these things are different, and every time the weighing of them comes up, it's interrupted by abuse of parliamentary procedure, then we're not really evaluating how the city uses its money. This is a choice you are making, my colleagues. Do we consider the city's money unitary, or do we divide it? It's a choice we are making, and it is a choice you will have to justify to the voters if you want an override to pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Okay, well, yes, okay with you, Councilor Loisel? Yeah, okay.
My I brought a picture of Main Street because Councilor Robbins did.
So, just a few more things. This is what happens when you don't write your remarks down. Forget to say things. But I forgot to say thank you to everybody here who has commented. I really appreciate all the comments. And I appreciate that we're disagreeing but talking to each other. And that means a lot to me. I also forgot to say thank you to the mayor's office for answering all my questions. And sorry, I was a pest. A couple more things I wanted to say is, I think that every young person I know is pretty mad at our generation for what we've done to the climate and the situation we're leaving them in. So I feel like really, like the CAPA department to me is for them. It's like, I mean, we need to do this for them as much as anything. And, I don't know how people can claim to know what the voters of the city want, because there's so many voters in the city and they want different things. So whatever we do, we're going to make somebody unhappy, and that's the way it goes. And but it's our job to make the hard decisions. And to me, I will take issue with the point of the pretense of our hands being tied. I don't think my hands are tied. I'm not making a pretense. I simply agree that the way the city has managed its finances is putting us in a situation where we're not suffering the way East Hampton and Hadley and South Hadley are, and many other towns right now. And so we disagree about that, Councilor Stratton, but I wish you wouldn't characterize it as these are not facts. We disagree. That's it. We disagree. I appreciate also, and I do have a few concerns about the budget, and one of them is the DPW and how we're going to get our sidewalks and roads fixed, because that would be the bulk of the emails I get from people, which indicates to me that people really do care about it, even though some people will say, I don't care about the potholes, fund the schools. I just don't think that's realistic. And so I feel like I would like us to next year think about how can we put some more money into fixing streets and roads and sidewalks to make them more accessible to everybody. And I really do also appreciate the moving forward and thinking about this as the beginning of a conversation, and I am eager to take a break and then do that. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Nabad.
Well, I'm going to echo what Councilor Loisel said, which is that I forgot to say thank you to everybody. So thank you so much to everybody for all of these meetings, all of these presentations that people have taken the time to create. And I do want to say, I feel like I didn't say enough that I do acknowledge that we have issues in our schools. I certainly am not in denial of that, but I feel like under the environment that we're in right now, I feel like we're very fortunate that we can keep level services right now. I guess that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Okay, Councilor, so we have we have the first item, we have a motion and a second, so that's on the floor, 26.064. Are there any more comments or questions on that, or on the order to approve the FY 2027 general fund budget before we go to a roll call vote? Okay. Roll call, please, Laura.
Okay. Councilor Perry.
Yes.
Councilor Robbins.
No.
Councilor Stratton.
No.
Councilor Davis.
Yes.
Councilor Dubbs.
Yes.
Councilor Clemmer.
Yes.
Councilor Loisel.
Yes.
Councilor Maori.
Yes.
Councilor Nabad.
Yes.
7-2.
Yeah, we need 6 to pass, 7, so the general fund budget passes for FY 2027. Okay, so we have 26.065 through 26.068. I'm sorry, 69. Councilor Clemmer brought up the idea of grouping. We can do that. That's something we could do, or if folks don't want to, we could take them each separately.
I make a motion to group them.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Councilor Clemmer to.
Goodbye.
Oh, and
Is it you or Aileen?
yeah.
You? Oh.
Yep. Okay. Councilor
threw my
Clemmer
voice.
and
You did. Good job.
Councilor Loisel seconds.
Was that as a group or?
To pass, to vote on them as a group.
26.064 through 26.069 as a group for approval.
No, 26.065
I'm sorry.
to 69.
That's what I
Where's
said.
the
Oh,
general
6.5,
budget?
yeah. Okay, I said that, but, okay. So that's the group, that motion's on the floor. Councilor Stratton, did you have something to say? You looked like you did.
Oh, I was just wondering whether anyone had distinct feelings about the revolving funds, but overall, I'm interested in taking these as a group.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, so wait, so we're going to vote, do a roll call vote on what,
Taking them as a group.
well, no, we don't actually have to vote on taking them as a group. We just vote.
Oh, right, just-
Yeah. We're, so does anyone want to have any discussion? When we vote, we'll be voting to approve those orders. Okay. So, Council Stratton?
Just to actually speak to them, as I said in the discussion with Director Lasalia last week, I mean, I do think that the funding of our enterprises is going to become a concern for the city in the future. We've managed to hold their budgets down, and I don't actually believe that's sustainable. I'll say again, part of the way I think we've held them down is sort of by breaking that box and putting money in from the city as a whole, and I'm not saying I have a problem with that. So I think we're going to need to have discussions about these in the future, but I'm willing to approve them as they are this year.
Thank you, Counselor. And just to clarify, because we're taking them as a group, you can comment on any of the items. Thank you. Any other comments before we vote on these as a group for approval? Okay. Roll call.
Sure. Okay. Councilor Robbins.
Yes.
Councilor Stratton.
Yes.
Councilor Davis.
Yes.
Councilor Dobbs.
Yes.
Councilor Clemmer.
Yes.
Councilor Loisel.
Yes.
Councilor Maori.
Yes.
Councilor Nabad.
Yes.
And Councilor Perry.
Yes.
So those pass as well. Okay, so we have a budget. That's always nice. How are counselors doing? We have a little bit more, not a lot, but if, I can continue. You want to keep going? Yeah, okay. I'm really enjoying Counselor Davis looking like she's on a movie set with the.
My house in Maryland is so hot. There's no AC on.
Oh, wow.
So
I just
I'm
thought it
using
was
the fan.
glitter,
Yeah.
to go with the flowy hair. Okay, so we are moving on to orders, and we have 26.080, an order to approve an exemption for Colette Piotrowski, contract for personnel services. This is on first reading. The process note is Director Moggio has asked the council to please consider passing this in 2 readings as the person needs to start soon, so we'll need a motion to suspend if we do that. This is something that comes up every year for us, and we always say, how can we just write this in so this doesn't happen? Yes, Councilor Stratton.
Yes, I was going to move to suspend rules. I'm concerned when we do that on financial orders, but this is just letting someone run a school summer program, so I would move to suspend rules.
Okay, great. Okay, so.
Second.
Great. So motion made by Councilor Stratton, second by Councilor Perry to suspend the rules. So why don't we vote on, any discussion on suspending the rules? So let's vote on suspending the rules, and then we can address the item.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Stratton.
Yes.
Councilor Dobbs.
Yes.
Councilor Davis.
Yes.
And Dobbs, yes. Okay, Councilor Clemmer.
Yes.
Councilor Loisel.
Yes.
Councilor Maori.
Yes.
Councilor Nabad.
Oh, she's stepped
That's
out.
okay. That's fine.
Councilor
Fine to get up.
Perry.
Yes.
And Councilor Robbins.
Yes.
Okay. And reestablish, that's just for my own edification. So it's 6 votes for motions to suspend, right?
Yep. Yes.
Yes, okay. And we had that, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
She's here now if you want to.
Okay, great. So that passes, we're just suspended the rule so we can vote tonight.
I will
So
move to
did-
approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Perry to approve, who was the second over here? Counselor Stratton, or Dubs? Counselor Stratton, to approve 26.080. Motion on the floor. Any discussion? Yes, I think almost every summer we get this order because there's some hardworking city employee who wants to do more for us. Who clearly don't find children as exhausting as I do sometimes. Okay. So let's take a vote on motion to approve.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
Counselor Dubs.
Yes.
Counselor Clemmer.
Yes.
Counselor Loisel.
Yes.
Counselor Maori.
Yes.
Counselor Nabad.
Yes.
Counselor Perry.
Yes.
Counselor Robbins.
Yes.
And Counselor Stratton.
Yes.
Okay. The second order is an order accepting provisions of the MGL Chapter 40U, and this is in first reading. Mayor, could you speak to that for us?
Sure. So this is something that we've been looking into for adoption for a few months. So to clarify from what was said during public comment, this is not an ordinance. It also doesn't change the current ordinance, which the Ordinance Review Committee and the council have had many, many conversations about in the last year and a half or so. I want to give thanks to resident Alex Bowman, who brought the possibility of adopting 40U to my attention during a conversation this winter. And I've been thinking about it as the discussions that largely the council's been having since the Ordinance Review Committee recommendations have been happening around enforcement of the snow removal ordinance, and also the, in addition to snow removal, the vegetation and the other sort of obstacles encroaching on the public way that also impede accessibility. So as we've discussed many times, the goal is always compliance and to have a clear and accessible public way, not enforcement for the sake of it. But there are sometimes situations when we do need to lean into enforcement. Our current legal possibilities for enforcement options use considerable resources in staff time and also legal resources to pursue relatively modest fines through a court system. And that renders that sort of legal route inefficient and often moot, especially regarding snow and ice, of course, because that is an ephemeral problem that quickly changes. So Chapter 40U of Massachusetts General Laws gives a municipality the authority to create a municipal administrative hearing process before hearing officers to adjudicate violations and the collection of unpaid fines in the interests of enforcing local ordinances or bylaws or rules and regulations. So it's our hope that if accepted by the council, 40U will give us an additional tool. Then we can create a hearing procedure with a designated hearing officer, which will allow us a more efficient and expedient process than going to court for violations for ordinances and the like, particularly the snow and ice and vegetation removal sidewalk ordinances related to public safety and accessibility. So this is similar to what the parking ticket appeal hearing officer. It would be creating a similar process.
Councilor Robbins. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Councilor Stratton had his hand up.
Okay, sorry.
And then Councilor Robbins. Okay.
So, I also thought it was very interesting when Mr. Bowman brought this to the attention of city government in general. When I've spoken about this in the past, one of the things that actually I thought was most interesting about it was not what Ms. Lefko called the stick, but some of the guidance that's in here about what a snow ordinance would have to say to be enforceable. And particularly in Section 5, it says that such ordinances and bylaws shall be specific as to the width of the area to be cleared and the standards for clearance. Our current snow ordinance says full width. Which I don't know if that meets the letter of the law to be enforceable here, But I also think it's a little challenging because full width varies widely. I mean, the new Florence Road sidewalk, I believe, is 5 feet, which is a lot to do with, it's a whole lot to do with a shovel and, multiple passes of a snowblower. It does have allowed narrowings to 32 inches beside mailboxes. That's allowed for like 2 feet under access code. And I think that's something that we need to like have a discussion on and come to a sort of a compromise of what do we actually expect to solve the problem. And I will give an example of something that didn't. I was looking around on Pleasant Street this summer, and there was a section that was like 1 shovel wide, and this young woman came out in a wheelchair, and she tried to do it, and she couldn't because she couldn't get her hands on the handrail wheels because the snow was blocking it. Fortunately, her friend was there, and her friend was able to push her, and they kind of shaved snow off each side. So, there's a reason there are minimums in ADA and Architectural Access Board and things like that. And I would love to find a way to have kind of a discussion and reach an agreement of, what is fully suitable, because, this is a real problem. I mean, you see people, rolling on the road on State Street because just one little bit of block sidewalk or something. And, this is an order which technically does not have to go to legislative matters. It could, and it touches on an ordinance. And I get back to wondering if we should sort of be co-referring the ordinance itself. I guess legislative matters won't meet until the end of the month, and we do have another council meeting, I believe, this month, or not?
Yes, we do have one before that.
So, possibly we could propose some language or have a bit of a hearing in legislative matters. I'm tempted to move to refer and put that on the. I will move to refer, but I would be interested for discussion.
I mean, okay.
I'm sorry, and specifically refer to legislative matters.
Okay. Are you making a motion, or can we come back to that, or do you want to? And I'll go to Councilor Robbins and Loisel. We can come back.
I'll leave it at the point of discussion for now.
I will circle back. Councilor Robbins, and then Councilor Loisel.
Yeah, so I think this is stuff that needs to be worked at and has needed to be worked at for many, many years. But I am really worried about how this would roll out and what it would look like. And before I approved it, I would want to have very specific examples of what the mayor, city solicitor, and appropriate municipal officials who are authorized to follow through would actually be doing. So before it comes back to us, unless it goes through legislative and they can have that discussion, it sounds like the mayor and the city solicitor and appropriate municipal officials need to have a discussion about how they envision this would look like. Because I think, the way it's written, it's a little scary.
Okay. Councilor Loisel, thank you.
So I have a question for the mayor, because it's not clear to me how this would happen in an expedient way, because that to me is the issue with this. Like even this winter, when I would get calls about an unshoveled sidewalk and call the DPW often, or even once was snow had been put on a sidewalk. By the time the DPW got there, it had melted, right? So things change fast, or they don't. But at any rate, I don't see how usually things like, adjudication bodies don't mobilize fast. So I just don't know how this would work.
So like a parking fine, right? So we would fine somebody and then they could appeal it, and then they would go through a hearing process, but they would still have the fine that they would have to pay. And this allows us to then lien the property as opposed to take them to court for the fine.
Oh, okay. I wish we could just shovel the problem and give them a bill.
Yeah.
I have go ahead.
If I may, I mean, this is in response to city councilors and residents, a very vocal and concentrated request of the mayor's office to find new tools to try and fix this problem. And, as Solicitor Seawald has said, when you have a fine, you have a piece of paper that someone owes you money and an unshoveled sidewalk. And so the goal here was to try and find a way without further burdening the court system to incentivize people to actually do this. And so if the fine goes to a lien, that is a real incentive for, let's say, an absentee landlord that does not live in the city. And so this was a way, without involving DA Sullivan, to incentivize someone to shovel the walk so that it is accessible. And this is truly what we were very vociferously, and I will say to you as representatives of your constituents, many constituents of the mayor and yours asked us to do this, including several of you around this room. And so this is, and it's not scary. It's exactly what we do with parking tickets. There's no new process here. We will mimic that process, and there is due process as part of it. It's not that there is no scary new process that takes away someone's rights. They will have the opportunity to make their case and protest the decision of the city. So I really expected this to be warmly received, given the feedback we got last winter.
Counselor.
Can I just add to that? And additionally, if that sort of isn't working, then we could perhaps create a process where then, we would have city workers do that work, or we would hire someone to do that work, and then that would be what we would then, levy to them, which we then could get back without taking them to court.
Okay. I'm just going to, because you brought that up, I'm going to state my concern, then I'll go to Councilor Robbins and Councilor Dubs. My concern is distinguishing between absentee landlords and our very growing senior population who just may not have the physical or, the physical capacity to shovel their sidewalks, and it seems like we're going to need that can be established in the hearing, but they would need some resources there or some sort of program to support them, because not all,
Yeah, that would be part of the, appeal. But, additionally, we've been in conversations with the Key Club about how we can create a program to assist.
Yeah, and okay, because there's certainly those people who can, and then there's those who really need some mutual aid or community support. Councilor Robbins, Councilor Dubs, and Councilor Nabad.
So this has been an issue since I was wheeling, a pram or a stroller many years ago. Just trying to get, okay, don't laugh that hard. It's not that many, it is a long time ago, but just getting down State Street has always been a challenge in one way or another. That's one of the places where the snow pools when it's really deep, and you get sort of a tunnel as you walk through there, and you can't get anything through. It is an issue all over the city. But I really echo what Councilor Loisel is saying, which is what we really need is something that at the moment clears the snow on the street. So if we I get it about putting a lien on absentee landlords, but an awful lot of this is just people who haven't shoveled well, who haven't shoveled wide enough, don't have access to a snow blower, went to work and came home at night and didn't get it done by the next morning. And it's just a bigger question than one small piece that I think could have knock-on ramifications. I imagine somebody who is just incapable of shoveling their walk or tries to shovel their walk, having to go through an appeal process to have to say, this is what I needed at the beginning. And to me, those are all conversations. I'd love to see us be able to take some piece of this and be more creative about what the other possibilities might be. I don't know if that's something within the ramifications of city services. To be able to see what the sort of a combination of best outcomes would be, with the goal of seeing when it snows, the sidewalks are cleared. And to me, this is it is a stick. The stick is a lien on a building. That's a big stick, and the process to go through to uncouple that might be equally as much of a challenge. So it's an interesting idea. I like the thought of it. I'd love to have it be much more solidly worked out and encompassing the real composition of who in the city can't shovel their sidewalk. Thank you.
Okay. We have.
I was actually just gonna, I was gonna give credit to you, Councilor Dubs, for all the work that you have been doing on this for quite a while. And you have been having those conversations about creative solutions and have been trying to find different ways for enforcement to have more teeth. So like those, I've been hearing those conversations, like those conversations have really been happening for a while. And so I just wanted to make sure that you got credit for doing that work.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for listening and noticing that those conversations have been happening. So I would like to answer also what Alan Wolf said. It is warmly received by me. So thank you. This is it's a welcoming and pleasant surprise to see that this is being acknowledged by the mayor and her administration. And I want to say to answer what people have been talking about. Like I've been saying the same things for years. I would love for us to be able to do more of the shoveling as a city ourselves. But there's challenges to that we've talked about, and it's just there are reasons that that's not possible to do now. And excuse me. And in terms of people that are not able to shovel their own properties, that's also something that we've been acknowledging a lot on both the Disability Commission, the Ordinance Review Committee, and we talked about different ways that we can address that. We're not there yet, but like one example one idea we had is some sort of outreach phone number or something where somebody who isn't able to shovel their property, they could call and let the city know, something like that. So, it's not that we're not thinking about it, but where we're at now is that enforcement is a big issue, and it we need to work harder to get better at it, because the ordinance as it is written is that people are supposed to be fined if they don't shovel their property. And so unless we change that language, or, unless we, once we get to a point where we can do more as a city to shovel properties, this is where we're at now. And so that's why I will support this, because we need to acknowledge the issue.
Thank you, Councilor. Let's see, I think it was Councilor Davis next. Councilor, yeah.
Thanks. Hi, I wanted to say that to me, like so many things in life, and certainly in running a city, there's not just one way to get something done. And so to me, it would be a tool in the toolbox. I love the hearing idea. Maybe before winter comes along, before the big snowstorm, public service announcements about remember, shovel, this is how much you need to shovel, do your best, why it's important. Think about your neighbors, think about your community members that have their strollers, that have the wheelchairs, that have their crutches, things like that. And just like Councilor Dubs just said, where to go for help. You're a senior citizen, you're sick this week, who could you call? And like, whether it's the Key Club, I love that idea. There's a finite number of those kids, but I think that that's a wonderful idea, and figuring out how that works. And also, one of the things that I would hear this winter was I shoveled, and then DPW came by and blew it right back on by the time I got home. And because they have so many roads to cover, so I'm clearly there, in my opinion, they're doing their very best, but it's still something to be noted that I heard quite a bit about. But it's a combination of things that could help move the process along. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Okay, I got Councilor Nabad, and then Councilor Stratton, and then Councilor Robbins.
So I'm thinking doing the fine thing and having to pay an attorney and go to court and clog up the courts and everything would be more costly than something like this. And so to me, that's less scary. And I'm glad that there is this Mass General Law that exists that we can use. I think like others, I guess I was thinking of like if there would be exemptions or, if people could apply for exemptions or instead of having to appeal it every time. That way, if there was a volunteer group that could help, they would be on the ready for those particular locations before each storm. But that's just an idea, and I love this idea, and thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Stratton and then Councillor Robbins.
So, I am really glad to see some action on this. And I think my comments are really, is this yet complete in terms of some of the other pieces that are needed? So, the refilling of already cleared curb cuts in particular by snow plowing or even just by traffic before the snow picking operation downtown, that is a huge problem. I almost want to say that is the biggest problem downtown once you're a few days after the storm, is that things that were clear are not, they don't stay clear. I think Solicitor Seawald reads the ordinance as including a requirement to remove subsequently deposited snow, even if it was pushed there by people or machines. I tend to agree with that. I don't think the public understands that way. And it also feels a little unfair. I mean, my own driveway, I clear it and then they come and they block it again. And it's like, but at least there it's me when I want to use it. But particularly, I think we need some clarity on the width expectation. I also think that part of our current sort of where we're stuck on this in many ways is that warnings are issued, but the warnings don't escalate because the warnings aren't really tracked. So we don't know when it's the warnings are personal from an officer. They don't really, there's not a system. So an idea that I actually raised to Chief of Staff Wolf way back in January at dinner at the MMA was, could we issue a fine, but could we have a procedure on the back of the page, and maybe it's not a page at this point, that sort of said, hey, fix this, send us a picture, and it's automatically waived because this was your first time. So legally, it actually would be the fine, and it would start the clock, but that there's an easy appeal where you don't even have to show up if it's the first time. Now, if it's an out-of-town property holder who's never cleared their sidewalk in 5 years, obviously, you can only do that once if you can even do that at all. So, just because, as we're always told, the goal is to get it cleared, not to collect money. So I do think, and I don't know if that have to be written into this, but if there could be some thought on what that might look like, even down to the language. So yeah, my point's the automatic appeal sort of, and clarifying the width expectation. I also just want to mention that there is another provision of state law, MGL 85, Section 6 and 7, that does allow a city to assess property owners for snow clearance. And then Section 7 says if you certify by November 1st or whatever that you're going to do it yourself, you get out of that. The challenge there would be that DPW's sidewalk tractor seems to be a very delicate machine that's freakishly expensive to operate. At some point, I would love to learn the technical trade-offs between the sidewalk tractor and the snowblower that a homeowner or an HOA or condo crewer would use. And I'm not really clear what the trade-offs there are. But the minute we talk city, we talk sidewalk tractor, which is a plow. And so we're talking about a very different technology. So it feels like it's not an apples to apples comparison. But I'm very pleased to see momentum on this, and I really hope we get this sorted out this summer. I mean, if we're still talking about this at Halloween, we've really failed the people of this city.
Good point. Councillor Robbins.
And I'll be quick. And I do want to credit the mayor's office because they have done a very good job of putting out pleadings for people to take care of their neighbors and to shovel their walks in this bad winter. And I think it had an impact to a certain extent. I think people really were aware of it and made a little bit more of an effort. But the curb cuts are still a huge issue. I'm just wondering, do we ever do like double referrals? Like, it just sounds like this is a discussion that I would love to have in city services and hear from Councillor Dubs about what they've discussed in disability. And so what are the ideas that come up from that? And also, reach out to all the good ideas that I've heard from everybody who's complained about it over this last winter. Like, how would you like to see this resolved? What would work for you? And then pass that stuff over to legislative with this and say, what additions to this, maybe we need an ordinance that's separate from this that would address something that's a little less punitive, which, for the for out-of-town business owners or building owners, a lien really will make a difference for them, possibly. I understand that that's a criteria that seems to make sense, but I don't like the idea of just using that as a punitive tool for everybody who doesn't do their sidewalk. I just want them to have a clear picture of what they need to do the sidewalk, and that we understand that we have some other tools that will help people who are our neighbors or our friends or elderly or even, just didn't do it, for that time. So that's my suggestion, a double referral if you can do that.
Okay, thank you. I'm just, we can talk about that. I just wanted to thank Councilor Dubs, who I think it was last winter, maybe it was the winter before, but we were out and you pointed out the curb cut issue with the snow, and I think, as Councilor Stratton says, it's when vehicles or plows pile it back. And, once, as an able-bodied person, I didn't see it. I mean, I'm sure I did see it out of the corner of my eye, but I didn't really see the problem. And then once you can't unsee it, and that whole winter, and now every winter, I noticed that. And I noticed that, like, how frustrating it is that you have this, say you do have a clear sidewalk, and you get to the end, and you still can't go anywhere, and how frustrating that can be, and how I really miss you in the winter. In person, because there's times that Council Dubs can't access those sidewalks. I would be interested to collect data. I think that would be really interesting to see, data around this, like what's the reasons given. I suspect that I suspect in downtown, where there's a lot of need for them to be clear in the sense of lots of traffic, that would lean more towards perhaps like absentee property owners. I don't know that to be for sure. In my ward, and kind of like, well, there's not even sidewalks some places in Ward 7, but, I think there's other areas where there's more senior, clearly, senior, older folks, and that may lean more that way. So I think data would really help us understand what are the reasons and kind of calculate those. I think that was my only comment. And just to say, you can refer it to different committees. You can do joint meetings. You can refer it one at a time. And let's go to Councilor Perry.
Yes. All right. So just want to remind folks that we're talking about this order before us, which isn't designed to solve the whole problem. It just gets us closer, as Councilor Dubs is saying. But this whole conversation shows that there have been conversations happening over the years. A citizen suggested this, the mayor's office took it. And I want to, and even Councilor Stratton talked about the police saying that, that they kind of give warnings. So we're not trying to be punitive. But I want to remind folks that the Ordinance Review Committee, we talked to you all and said that we wanted to refer this to transportation and parking. We know that this is a big issue, and that is why that's why we referred this, and we put that forward as our recommendation. So, I think that another thing we talked about is making sure that the Disability Commission was a part of that as well. And so that's for me is just a reminder that we've talked about it, and I think those conversations do need to start now. As Councilor Stratton said, if we reach Halloween and those conversations haven't started, then all the red flags and alarms should be ringing. But that's why it was so important for this Ordinance Review Committee to say that we need to have these discussions in depth and start implementing things. And this is one of the things that Councilor Dubs has talked about, is having some teeth. Like if you're going to find people, like if there are, habitual line steppers, to quote, a famous comedian, but that is really where the teeth part is coming from. And so I just want to, I think there's some urgency to get that conversation started.
Thank you for that reminder, Councilor Perry. That's true. We talked about TPC and the Disability Commission. Yes, Councilor.
So just to have we referred this to the TPC?
Yeah. We have.
Yeah.
Not this thing.
Yeah,
okay.
But the ordinance.
So should we refer this to the TPC? Or? Okay. I just.
No, and we can close it in a minute if it gets cold. I just need a minute. Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to. So it's been to TPC. Well, no, I mean, not this order, right? I mean, the subject of, right. Okay. Any more, so this is, we need to look at referring, let's see. Orders, yeah, we don't have to refer it, orders are mayoral date, we don't have to refer it to legislative matters. We can, and, or city services, or the consent agenda. Yeah. Or not even, oh yeah, oh right. Oh right, we wouldn't refer it to the consent agenda, would we?
So can I
We would
add to the
just-
motion that's on the floor, or maybe we didn't make one?
We ended up without one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm going to make a motion to refer this to city services, just to gather the data that Councillor Dubs has collected in working with us for a period of time, and he's certainly the expert in the room around that, especially if he's talked to other folks, and then see where we are. And if we bring that back to council, and then it needs to go to legislative to look at, well, okay, we have this, what do we do with it? How does it fit in with this particular piece of legislation? It gives us a foot in the door.
That's an interesting, if it comes back to council, can it referred back out? I guess it could. Or do we always refer at the same time?
Could I just, oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, because we're not meeting till July 6th, I think, and you guys are meeting June 28th, and then we won't meet till July, was it 15th, or?
Are you talking full council?
Full council, so I mean, I'm just talking timeline.
Mhm.
You know,
No, it's good 'cause
it's
we
really
do-
pushing it out there. I mean, I guess we would have to wait till the next council meeting anyway, so.
Well, the next council meeting would be June 18th, and then I believe it's.
No, I mean the one
oh,
after, because
Oh.
unless we just refer, unless it just comes back here again.
Right, okay.
I just-
Talking-
oh, sorry.
we're just talking about pushing it out a month, just to remind everybody that, we're on summer schedule soon.
I just wanted to add that, and not to shut the idea down at all, but we did actually have a city services meeting, I think it was last year, on snow removal, and that's how it ended up going to the ordinance review committee after that. Like we had a specific city
Right.
services meeting where all we talked about was snow removal.
Right.
And we had the chief of police there and other people there. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it, but we have done that already. So I just wanted to make
Yeah, it
sure.
was last January
Okay.
or February.
Um,
After that ice storm, we
Okay.
had it.
Okay. Let's see. I think, okay, Councilor Loisel and then Councilor Stratton.
So another question. I assume that the mayor's office or the adjudicating board, whatever, has discretion. So this doesn't necessarily mean whoever goes before the board, it gets the stick, right? In other words, the people hearing about it will weigh it. And
Right,
if
that would
it's-
be the point of
if it's an elderly person who doesn't have any family and can't do it themselves, So I'm not afraid of it. I think it's a good thing. And it's one tool in the toolbox, like Councilor Davis said. So.
Okay. Alan Wolf, trying to think of a
So
creative.
I just
name.
I want it to be, you guys have talked about a lot of possible solutions for a very complex problem, but this one merely changes who hears this. Right now, the law, the ordinance, says if you don't shovel your walk, you get a ticket. And if you get that ticket and want to appeal it, you wind up in court. And then we have to send the city solicitor or their representative, and we become part of a very crowded court system, which probably, honestly, the DA wouldn't even let it get there because this is not worth the people's time, and so we don't get the fine paid. And so when we were asked, can we just try to enforce this, this was a way brought by Mr. Bowman to make that enforcement possible through a process we're very familiar with the parking system. And so it's the same rule, the same fine, just a different adjudicator. And so we're not changing anything. We're not talking about how to clear curb cuts. We're just saying if you receive this fine, there is someone who would probably listen to that same elderly person who said, I didn't realize I didn't pay the ticket, and probably waive the ticket at least one time, will waive the fee, right? I mean, like there is a human being that they're going to receive when they get this. That is the only part of this. And there are so many other facets of this problem which are tough to solve, but I think we're very committed to trying to solve. This is not impacting any of those other things in any way. So I just want to make sure that we strip away the rest of it and just look at the heart of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'll go to Councilor Davis and then Councilor Stratton.
Okay, I'll be quick. As I was hearing the round and round, I just had this flash of, even though I know that democracy works slowly, it's just like the nature of it because we're all humans talking together with different opinions. This is what I think frustrates people when and I really appreciated that Councilor Dove said, just to remind people, Councilor Perry as well. We talked about this. We've been around the block. Like all of a sudden, as Councilor Clemmer, I heard saying something about the summer schedule. Like all of a sudden, it actually will be Halloween. Like pretty fast. So I think that we need to, check back at what have we done, what would be redundant. I think that would drive like me and probably a lot of people crazy of saying, geez, they talked about this already. And I just wanted to say that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Stratton.
So I have 3 quick ideas. One is that I would actually specifically ask that the city solicitor look into whether the words full width in the current ordinance meets the requirements of this law. I have some doubt about that. Then I wonder, could we actually ask the Disability Commission to look into what width is needed? And particularly the delicate balance between, the more you ask for, the less likely you are to get compliance. And sort of see if we can figure out what is a standard somebody can reasonably do with a shovel that actually solves the problem. Because I think, a lot of people think that one shovel width does it, and the truth is that doesn't, not for a wheelchair. And then lastly, I would ask if the council president would possibly consider putting the snow ordinance itself, 285-17 and 285-29, the vegetation ordinance, on our July 18th agenda, basically just to preserve our possibility to do something with them under open meeting law. I'm not sure we're going to do anything with them, just so that we could legally...
Established
I mean, in effect, an amendment, but with no proposed amendment.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering if that would be more of a subcommittee. I'm not against it. It's not something we do, so I'd have to think about it.
I just want to preserve our possibility to say, hey, I think we've made a plan now. We need to act on this and get it out to a committee or whatever,
Right.
and so that it's not October.
Right, and yeah. And we're slow, but I think we have enough months that we will get this in place. Okay, let me think about that. I'm just, procedurally, I'm just thinking about that. I don't immediately object, but it's not something we usually do, so I have to think about if that's something we can do. July 15th? June 18th. Yeah, can we put ordinances without proposing an amendment for review?
I mean, we could make up an amendment that changed one word or something.
But you're not talking about this order. You're talking about the related ordinances.
Yes, to put the actual ordinances themselves before the council in case we conclude that we need to change them, so that we can get that launched and get it all to the same committee meeting.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I'd have to make sure we actually can do that.
Would it be the enforcement part of the ordinance that you'd be changing, not the snow removal itself? I think some of
So my reading of the state law is that a qualifying ordinance must state the required width, and I don't really feel that our ordinance says that. It just says full width, which depends on how the sidewalk was built. So I would like to have the actual ordinances before the council, so that if we conclude we may need to change them, we could sort of put 40U and the ordinances together into the same committee meeting.
I'm wondering if we could do I'm wondering if that may be more appropriate for legislative matters, or how do you feel about that, as opposed to full council? I'm just curious.
Well, I'm saying that legislative matters
review.
won't meet until the next full council meeting. But if we put the subject on the council
I
meeting,
see.
I don't think we can refer it to legislative matters tonight because it's not before us. Maybe we can.
No, we can't refer it, but you are on legislative matters and you could ask for an agenda item, but you're saying,
Oh, will you just take it up directly? Okay.
yeah, I'm just thinking that might
All right.
be more efficient, but if that's not if that won't scratch the itch you're trying, then I.
No. If legislative matters can decide that it just wants to take up the actual underlying ordinance itself, all by itself, which, yeah, I think the council will support that, then that works too.
Councilor Loisel.
I feel like we're overthinking this, and I don't know if we have a motion on the floor, but I would like to move that we adopt this or send it to the consent agenda or whatever it is that we do here. Because if we do this, we can still do many other things. But this seems like a good thing.
I'll just say, I hear you on that. What I think I'm hearing from Councilor Stratton is that his vote on this is related to the ordinances? Maybe not. Okay.
I'm just saying this is a tool I would like to have available for residents.
Okay. Okay, got it. Councilor Nabad.
Yeah, and I just want to echo what Councilor Perry said, and also Councilor Dubs and the mayor and many people in this room, is that we've been talking about this for years. We can approve this and talk about the width later. I don't think a sidewalk is going to get shoveled any wider than it actually is, so the width could vary. This is just chasing a tail to just keep passing over this, and I think that there's no harm in getting this through, however we have to do it. Thanks.
Councilor Dubs, and then Councilor Robbins.
Thanks. Yeah. Just wanted to say that kind of echo what Councilor Nabad said, and that this is that what we're talking about tonight is not the ordinance, not the snow removal ordinance. And if you do want to talk about that, come to a meeting where we talk about it. Like we've been talking about it for years, and so I just welcome you to join those conversations. And yeah, this is something that's going to help us enforce that ordinance, and so I don't see why that's an issue. And if you want to talk about width, you don't need the Disability Commission to tell you what the width should be. Like, we are people in wheelchairs. That doesn't mean that, like, there you could just look it up. If you want to know what the ADA requirements are, just look it up.
Okay, Councilor Robbins.
So we're actually hearing a lot of good pieces of this conversation, and it doesn't sound like we're in a place to agree about what we're going to do in next step. It's a first reading,
Yeah.
and it's going to be on our next agenda. And maybe that's the time to come back together. If we meet with our subcommittees before that, we might want to put it on agendas if we wanted to and have a discussion about it. But I like the chasing our tail image of it. I think we have a lot of great ideas, but it's getting late.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to wrap it up. I would say that, in my opinion, I understand this is a new council and they may not have talked about it, and that we may that looking at the ordinance might be prudent. But in my head, they're not. And they're not the same process. So I don't think it's either or. I think it's can be and if we'd like it to be. So we need to figure out where we're referring this to so we can move on. So. Oh wait. Well, we don't have to refer. This is right. If we don't refer it, it will automatically go on our next agenda. And so I guess the thing I would think about referral is, do we have we've had a lot of meetings. Our committees meeting before our June 18th. June 18th. I guess it depends where you. What'd you say?
I'm thinking it's already been referred like many
Right.
times.
No, I'm not suggesting it. I'm
This
just
is-
saying that
yeah.
that is one thing I would think about if you are someone who wants to refer it, that we have that.
Can I make a motion that we refer to the consent agenda?
We don't refer it to the consent
Oh.
agenda because it's an order. It will automatically go there. I guess the question
Okay.
is referral or no. and then it will just appear on our next.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. Well, I can just say legislative matters isn't meeting till after the next council meeting.
Okay, I guess I would suggest if someone wants to refer it somewhere to put that motion on, and we will vote on it, or we will move on and hope and we can have other conversations about the ordinance, which is separate from this. So, councilors, any motions before we move on? No, the only reason to make a motion is if you want to refer it to someplace. Okay, so if not, we will move on. We only have one item left, or no, well, two. Yeah, two, excuse me. And as usual, they're compelled to go to Committee on Legislative Matters. We have an ordinance relative to parking on Parsons Street, first reading, an ordinance relative to parking on Vernon Street. So zoning ordinances, so yeah, yes.
I just want to make a motion to refer to legislative matters.
Second.
Okay, a motion made by Councilor Clemmer, and I think we'll give it to Councilor Robbins. Okay, so motion's on the floor for referral. Any discussion? This will go, if it goes through legislative matters, we'll also be able to discuss it in full council when it returns.
Yeah, just real quick, since I'm on I was on transportation and parking, and this is my ward, except for a little sliver that's Councilor Davis's. So we had a nice long, it must have been 6 months of a trial run of just having no parking on one side of the street for about half of Vernon. It's been working well. There's been a little overflow onto Jewett, but doesn't seem like it's been horrible. So I think overall, my constituents on Vernon are happy with the way it is. So
okay,
that's that.
Did you lose that sliver in a card game? Now I'm really curious.
I did.
Okay.
So actually Jarrett won. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so motion's on the floor. Any more discussion before we vote for referral to legislative matters? Oh, wait.
Is that as a group or is that just?
Oh, that's a good, thank you. You're right. We didn't.
We refer it as a
Yeah,
group.
yeah, okay.
And I was just speaking to Vernon because
Got it.
that's
Yeah.
my ward. So
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so we're moving, the motion is to refer both 26.070, 26.071 to legislative matters.
Okay.
All right, roll call on referral.
Councilor Dubb.
Yes.
Councilor Clemmer.
yes.
Councilor Loisel.
Yes.
Councilor Maori.
Yes.
Councilor Nabad.
Yes.
Councilor Perry.
Yes.
Councilor Robbins.
Yes.
Councilor Stratton.
Yes.
And Councilor Davis.
Yes.
Okay, that will go to legislative matters and then come back to council. No ordinances. Any new business? Then I would
Move
look
to
for a motion.
adjourn.
Thank you, Councilor
second.
Perry, and second by Councilor
Working.
Robbins? Okay.
Anybody else?
And then, yeah, no discussion on referral.
Councilor Clemmer.
Yes.
Councilor Loisel.
Yes.
Councilor Maori.
Yes.
Councilor Nabad.
Yes.
Councilor Perry.
Yes.
Councilor Robbins.
Yes.
Councilor Stratton.
Yes.
Councilor Davis.
Yes.
And Councilor Dubbs.
Yes.
Okay. We are adjourned. Nice work, counselors. That was.